Welcome back to Travolting, covering Wild Hogs, with special guest Don Elmore. Enjoy the episode.
Hello, Jeff.
Highway to the... that's the wrong movie. I'm thinking of...
Yeah.
Oh my God, I already messed it up.
You already messed it up.
I'm thinking Top Gun. Yeah, I was trying to do Easy Rider, and I just went full Top Gun.
Yeah.
That was embarrassing. I'm sorry.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Welcome back to Travolting, folks.
Hey, folks. Welcome to Travolting. We are greeted here by a very special guest, my dad.
That is right, folks.
Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Stuart's dad here.
Thank you, folks, for listening last week to our episode on Lonely Hearts.
A movie that definitely exists.
A movie that everyone has seen. And by everyone, I mean the 20 people who saw it in theaters.
Dad, so this movie was made for a budget of $14 million. Guess how much it made in the U.S.? Just like a wild number. Like you think about Avengers making $1 billion or average box office in the hundreds of millions. How much do you think this movie made?
Did it cover the budget?
This movie made
$180,000.
Ouch.
This movie lost $13 million.
Nobody saw this movie. Nobody saw it.
I can't picture it when you say Lonely Hearts. I'm like drawing a blank.
It's a movie where John Travolta walks up to a crime and he's like, "We got to find these guys." And then James Gandolfini's like, "Well, we thought we had gotten them, but we missed them by 20 minutes. They were 5 miles away." And then they all look into a cornfield and cry. And then it says 5 years later, and they pick them up. That's the whole movie.
Have you seen Road to Perdition with Tom Hanks?
No.
Public Enemies.
Yeah.
Similar Public Enemies vibes.
Okay.
Cat and mouse, detective trying to catch a killer. 1940s. Crime drama. Yeah.
Yes. This week we are not here to talk about Lonely
We're not
Hearts
here to talk about Lonely
because
Hearts.
life is too short.
Yeah.
So quite simply.
Yeah. We are here to talk about the 2007 Disney film
Wild Hogs.
Wild Hogs. Did you know that it was a Disney film?
I didn't realize it was a Disney film.
Yeah.
So
That gives it a whole new spin.
Yes, this is technically a Disney movie.
Yes.
It's directed by Walt Becker.
yes,
Which in a few episodes we're going to cover another Walt Becker movie
Old Dogs
called Old Dogs. And Dad, you may not realize this, but I didn't realize we have actually seen Old Dogs.
We have?
I think we have.
Wow.
It's Robin Williams and John Travolta. Robin Williams ends up having 2 kids who he's never known, and he has to take care of them while the mother of his children's in jail. And John Travolta's like the cool uncle.
I don't remember it.
Yeah, I didn't remember it either until I watched it. I'm like, oh my God, we have seen this movie. It's like there's the thing that a bit reminded me about it was like the Fremont tattoo on his chest. That one reminded me of it. So, but yeah, Walt Becker covers Old Dogs.
Sister, before we jump into the context corner,
Before
we jump into the context corner,
Sure.
there's a reason we're covering this movie with your dad.
Yeah.
I would love to you guys to dive into it.
Okay. So, Dad, we watched this movie, especially when I was a kid. This was probably one of our childhood movies, and
Yep.
And I think this is the perfect dad movie. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. And so we're covering this today because well, first off, you owned a motorcycle.
Couple of
You
them.
did.
Couple
Yeah.
of them. Yeah.
Stuart didn't mention that.
I don't know what time period you owned these motorcycles, but probably closer in the time period of Tim Allen and John Travolta, their age range maybe.
I bought the last one in 2007, coincidentally.
Coincidentally, right when this movie came out.
was this a purchase spurred by spontaneously seeing this movie and being like, I know where I'm going next?
It might have been. I don't know. I can't remember that far back. But yeah, that's when I bought it.
Yeah. But this is just one of those few movies where when I knew we were covering a John Travolta podcast and I saw this movie, Wild Hogs, I immediately saw it. I'm like, we got to get my dad on this.
Yeah.
Just because I remembered watching this a couple of times with you, Mom, and my brother Mathew as a kid. So yeah, that's why we booked this way back in advance in January.
I remember.
You remember, it was a year in the making, folks.
Yes.
And we were finally realizing that today. So
Well, when you were talking about doing this, and you mentioned something to me, I was trying, as you're talking, I'm thinking, okay, what movie? And then you said Wild Hogs. I'm like, oh yeah, Wild Hogs.
Yeah, yeah.
Very cool.
So yeah, that's why we're bringing the dad of dads, and to cover a biker dad, mind you.
Yes.
A biker dad who drives a semi.
Yeah.
I mean, it couldn't be more perfect.
It could have been more perfect, I feel like. Real quick, which of the four do you identify with the most?
That is a great question. It's kind of weird because I just reviewed the film recently, but I keep only name that keeps. If you ask me a name, I think Doug.
Tim Allen, yeah.
Tim Allen.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
America's dad in the early 2000s.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that was right around the time of Home Improvement, so he's coming off of like his big dad era into even more dad.
It's after
stuff.
Santa Claus too.
It's after Santa Claus.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So
Which he was great.
and
in.
Toy
A
Story.
role he is reprising in a TV show.
He is
apparently.
reprising the Santa Claus role.
As we record this, it has just been announced, I think yesterday, that Tim Allen will be returning as Santa Claus in a Disney Plus original series.
I
To
love
the
that.
listener at home, this is a time capsule. Where were you when Tim Allen was announced to be returning as Santa?
I'll remember this.
It's like one of those big moments where it's like Harrison Ford's coming back as Han Solo, or I'm trying to think of another, like Stallone's coming back as Rocky. Tim Allen will be returning as Santa Claus next year.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh, man. So yeah, Jeff.
Yes.
You want to carry us into the context corner?
Yeah, let's shimmy on over to that context corner. Everyone's favorite corner. It's my favorite for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite.
So this movie's coming at a weird point for Travolta because he's on a downward spiral, as we've covered.
Yeah.
Getting near the point where he kind of fully falls off the A-list.
we have officially abandoned the rebound movies.
Yeah.
So, Dad, I think we'll fill in some context with you, particularly because, so with the arc of Travolta's career, from the very beginning of Devil's Reign to now, like Travolta's had so many ups and downs. And the time period we're in right now is sort of that Battlefield Earth was the start of it, that horrendous 2000s mega flop, but it wasn't like the for sure end of it. It was just the start of that downward spiral. And in between, I wouldn't say Battlefield Earth and probably Lonely Hearts,
Yeah.
you'd say? Probably Lonely Hearts were rebound movies, meaning movies that he had already done before, but we're going to do it again because they worked last time. AKA, like a
Be
sequel
Cool.
to Get Shorty called Be Cool with Uma Thurman, his co-star in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
A
good
rebound,
choice.
a rebound movie,
absolutely.
right?
He's just trying to do what worked
Yeah.
last time, and none of it's working this time.
On paper, it sounds like a good idea. And I feel like since Lonely Hearts and now even here with Wild Hogs,
Yeah.
we're kind of out of that era.
He's
with
just
rebound.
trying something new now.
Yeah. So what's this try? What would you
Well,
classify this as?
Aside from the fact he's trying to like play a character he hasn't really played before, he's like just settling into a dad mode, which is, a lot of actors try and push off playing like dad roles as long as they can because they want to always be seen as like, the leading man, etc.
Yeah.
But where this is coming from in his career is in a move I can only describe as like the equivalent of buying like a lesser product because it's on sale. Disney decides to go all in on Travolta in 2007.
Yeah.
They signed him for a deal. Travolta does 3 movies at Disney in this like 3-year period.
Hairspray wasn't Disney.
He's not. But he does this. He does
Old
Bolt,
Dog.
Bolt, and then Old Dogs.
Right. Bolt and then Old Dogs.
And they have him contracted for 2 more, which don't happen because Old Dogs flops.
Yeah.
But right at this period in time, Disney's going all in on John Travolta for some reason. I don't know why. Like I said, it's probably just that he was affordable at the time. They're like, we can sign this guy for a few movies. He'll make us a few bucks. Doesn't work out for them. Doesn't work out for him. His career collapses shortly thereafter. But a valiant effort gives us 3 more movies to talk about.
Yeah.
So he just signs this deal with Disney.
Yeah.
One of the first projects they want to put him into is this spec script, old Wild Hogs.
Yeah.
Because they want to get into biker culture. The mid-2000s kind of has a slight resurgence in like modern biker culture, kind of hitting the mainstream, like
Harley Davidson restaurants.
Harley
and
Davidson restaurants,
Hard Rock cafes.
American Chopper.
Yeah.
It was called American Chopper, right? That was the
Yeah.
name of the show.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. That's right.
because that guy's in this movie.
Peter. No, not.
I
Which
forget
guy?
his name, but
Do
the
you know?
American Chopper guy.
I cannot think of his name, but I can visualize the scene where they're at the.
Paul Tootle Sr.
Yep. Right.
Yeah.
And Paul Tootle Jr. is also in it. But he pops up in this movie. So there's this kind of mainstream biker aesthetic that's returning, and Disney decides they want to cash in on it.
Yeah.
And so this movie it gets pipelined. They pick a director to do it, Walt Becker, who prior to this had only done Van Wilder, which I don't know if that was a success. It made decent money, but it was a National Lampoon picture. So he's kind of in this range of doing adult comedies.
Yeah.
So he seems like a reasonable choice who they can probably get for cheap for this movie that they're not sure one way or the other if it's going to work or not.
Yeah.
But they're going to play around with it.
This movie, rewatching this, I mean, it is a family comedy, I know, because like we watched this as a family when we were young, but watching it now today, it's like, it's interesting to call this a family comedy.
Yeah, it's not necessarily because Disney released it under their Touchstone label, which is where they put all of their adult pictures.
Yeah.
Like Pulp Fiction was a Touchstone movie.
Yeah. Pulp Fiction's a Disney movie.
Wow. No way.
They would just, Touchstone was just like their label where they would put anything that was like, we're not sure if this is Disney enough.
Right.
They would just put it there. And it would still, at the end of the credits, it still says Walt Disney Motion Pictures. But to the mom at home who's just trying to find a movie to take her kids to so they'll be quiet for 2 hours, they don't see Disney over Wild Dogs and be like, this is great, and then take their kids to see like a 2-hour biker movie.
Yeah, right.
Which would be very funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, like, this is also kind of, I mean, this was not a initially thought of adult comedy turned family comedy, because we covered those before.
Yes.
Be Cool particularly was like that.
Yeah, and it will happen to Walt Becker with his next movie, Old Dogs, which is filmed as an R-rated comedy, and then in post-production turned into a PG family comedy.
Yeah.
Which is why the movie is so strange.
Yeah, it's a very
weird completely torpedoes Becker's career, and he ends up just making family comedies for the rest of his life. So far.
Sad.
Yeah. Because they're like, oh, he made a family comedy. Now he can do Alvin and the Chipmunks, and then he has not recovered since.
But this movie, they planted their flag as a family comedy movie.
Yes.
Through and through.
And big part because of Tim Allen, who was very involved in the production of this movie. Because he's a car guy. If you ever listen to Tim Allen comedy, he's a car guy. He's a motorcycle guy. He likes automobiles. I just said automotives. Look at me. He loves automobiles.
Yeah.
And so he kind of gets this pitch. He's coming off of his home improvement run. Last Man Standing is I think it's close to getting started.
Is it getting started or finishing?
No, Home Improvement is finishing, but Last Man Standing is just starting.
Last Man Standing.
His current show.
I think that was later.
Was it later?
I think Last Man Standing was 2012 era, a few years after.
Okay, so he's still a few years off from that.
I think Wild Hogs was an in-between moment for him, because he is out of Santa Claus. He's out of the early Toy Stories, because Toy Story 3 isn't until 3 years later.
Yeah.
They did Toy Story 1 in 95, 2 in 99, and then they have the Santa Claus movies, Home Improvement.
Yeah.
So this is like one of his like in-between career moves before Toy Story comes back. I think he does another like Last Man Standing and a couple of other stuff.
Tim Allen is such an interesting career case because he just kind of becomes like a big celebrity in the 2000s.
Yeah.
In his like mid to late 40s. Mostly like he was big prior to that as a comedian and for his television work, but he doesn't really become like an American icon until the 2000s. Like kids know who Tim Allen is. Like everyone loves Tim Allen at this point.
So,
and it's a strange place for him to be off of just like essentially doing dad projects.
So speaking of dad,
Yes, son.
speak to your experiences on Tim Allen. I mean, like, because you probably seen the full growth of his arc from where he started with comedy, TV, and then going to movies. What was that like?
Well, I mean, I think I saw him on some late night. You know, I didn't see him perform live or anything, but I knew he was well recognized as a stand-up comedian and was really good.
Yeah.
And then I watched a few episodes of Home Improvements, but you know, my nighttime television viewing has been, especially since 2006 or 7, because I work so much.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's just easy to like. I mean, he is funny. Even sitcoms are not my thing, but if you turned on and Home Improvement was on, you just couldn't seem to stop watching it because of the interaction with him and his sidekick and then the neighbor. I mean, he was really good. And like Santa Claus. And when you say Toy Story, I mean, I've listened to Tim Allen talk in all those Toy Story movies. Thank you, son.
Yeah.
But I loved them. They were great movies. I mean, they really were. But to find him in Wild Hogs was good. I really liked it.
Yeah. It just seems like Tim Allen has like a warm presence on screen.
Yeah.
Like almost like, I mean, what was interesting about Tim Allen is like there was a moment in the early 2000s and maybe even the 90s where he was like neck and neck for the title of Father of America with Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Like it was neck and neck between the two, I would say.
And they're two different types of dads.
Very much.
Yeah.
Very much.
I mean,
so.
neither of them are my actual father, but I feel like in a sense they're my
Tim Allen's the guy
movie
that builds
father.
you a treehouse and teaches you how to, play catch in the backyard. Tom Hanks is the one who like, drives you to your first date and like teaches you how to ride a bike. That's the difference between the two of them. Like Tom Hanks has like the gentle approach of like, all right, you're gonna ride this bike, just keep pedaling, nurturing.
Right.
Whereas Tim Allen's like, I'm gonna build this guy like a tree house and we're gonna play catch and turn him into a sports star kiddo. Like that's the Tim Allen
The
dad.
best friend dad kind of a guy.
Kinda, yeah.
He's the cool dad.
He is the cool dad. I don't think he probably holds that title anymore now, but but he did at one point.
Yeah, he had his moment in the sun, and that very much leads to this movie.
Yes.
Because this movie only gets made off of where all these actors are at their specific point in time.
So, Jeff, we've talked about half of the cast here.
Yes.
Shall we fill in who else is in this movie?
Who else is in this movie?
Well, we have Martin Lawrence.
We do have Martin Lawrence.
And that is so crazy because, I mean, he was in his movies with the cop movies.
Bad Boys.
Were those before? Or
I think so.
Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2 are both before this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, he still kind of plays that guy, but, sissified or he wimps out.
My question is, where is Big Mama's house in this movie?
Where's this equation?
Where's this equation with Big Mama's house? I need to know.
Can't say I've seen that movie.
The thing that's kind of strange for me is like all these guys are like upper 40s, early 50s when they're in this movie.
Yeah.
Martin Lawrence is like 36 when they make this movie.
Oh, he is? Really? Oh, yeah.
He's fairly young because he's only 56 now, and this movie was filmed roughly
15.
16 years ago.
Yeah.
So he's in his like late 30s when they make this movie. He seems significantly younger than the rest of them.
I think that came across. Now that you say that, I think that came across in the movie, even though his wife in the movie she fit right in. I mean, she seemed older, like Doug's wife or Tim Allen's wife.
Yeah.
And I guess it kind of fits in with where his character's at, still trying to like form his own company.
Yeah, and he's still kind of working in the early stages of fatherhood and marriage because he's still working out boundaries with his wife.
But Stuart and I, about 2 years ago at this point, had a little movie marathon.
We did.
We watched all the Bad Boys movies.
We watched
because
all the
there's
Bad
nothing
Boys
else to
Will
do.
Smith, right? Yeah.
And I would firmly say Martin Lawrence in this movie is playing the exact same character he plays in Bad Boys 3.
Yeah.
The guy who is tired of hearing his wife and just enjoys sitting in a chair and is dragged against his will into continuous adventures.
Yeah, basically that's what this movie is for him. Yeah, Martin Lawrence is definitely, he has some treats in this movie. He's definitely not like a lead or a co-lead I mean, he's not even that much of a supporting alongside William H. Macy. Like he's sort of I would say he's in fourth place of the four, which sounds kind of bad to say it, but he really is kind of in fourth place.
Yep.
I feel like it goes like Tim Allen is the lead. And that's a good question. Who is top billed? It's Tim Allen.
It's
right?
Tim Allen.
Yeah. It's Tim Allen, John Travolta, then probably William H. Macy, then Martin Lawrence.
Yeah. But this is a big moment to say that Travolta is not top billed in this movie.
I didn't notice that, actually.
Yeah.
This is in all of his like even when it's been an ensemble picture, he's almost always been top billed.
Yeah.
Even the Punisher, he's not the Punisher, but he gets top billing.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting.
We're in a shaky spot. Tim Allen's bigger fish.
Yeah, he's definitely a bigger fish at this point. And but then we got to talk about the crowning jewel, the secret sauce of this movie, the fourth member of the Wild Hogs, and probably the most valuable, Dudley, played by William H. Macy.
One of America's treasures.
Now, Dad, William H. Macy is a national icon
He is.
for both today and the early 2000s.
Right.
Just talk to us a little bit about your relationship with William H. Macy in cinema.
Well, I was trying to think about that. I think this is I know he was in Fargo, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was,
96.
yeah. But I never really, I mean, I think I've seen it, but it just I didn't remember it.
Yeah.
This is what I remember him for up to
Shameless.
Shameless.
Yeah. Wait, so, like, William H. Macy, to me, has always been, like, the background supporting lead.
Right.
Where I've never really seen him take like the helm of something by himself, like besides like, which I mean, Fargo is mostly like Francis McDormand.
Yeah.
Right.
He's a utility player. You plug him in where you need him, and he's always going to do great with what you're giving him.
And he fills that in very well. With this movie, he's also that, but he provides a little extra secret sauce with his appearance in this movie, I feel like. Because you see...
Is the secret sauce his ass? Because we certainly see that.
Yes, we do.
I mean, I would say it's like... Because, especially the other three Wild Hogs, they have their problems in life.
Yeah.
Like, they're all dealing with something individual. Whereas Dudley, it's like, if you looked at it from the outsider perspective, sure, you could say he's nerdy, he's not sociable. But other than that, what's this guy got to fix about himself? This dude is probably like, I bet you he's like a secret billionaire, and he has not
and just
told
never
any
reveals
of the
it.
Wild Hogs that he's like a secret billionaire.
And then he's like, yeah, my jet's coming to pick us up. And they're like, what?
What?
Your jet?
Yeah, that's what I think of Dudley. It's like Dudley just like he just likes the three guys so much, even though they kind of treat him a little bit like shit sometimes. Like, I think he just like loves having them as friends, that like he'll put up with bullshit just to like kind of live amongst the normal people.
Well, if you picture the rest of the people he probably associates with in his work, I mean, these guys are pretty cool compared to what I picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, computer technology.
Yeah.
I mean, he's...
Well, because like Travolta is... He expels that he's like a rich
Wealthy.
guy, that he's wealthy. Like that's like his mantra as like the member, is that he's the one that's got it made. And like Dudley, they don't know that Dudley has like, $80 million of stock in Apple or something like that.
Right.
Like they
And
don't
he gets
know.
an apple tattooed on his
He
arm.
gets an apple. Like that's what I'm saying. I feel like this movie doesn't tell us this, but it's evidently clear that Dudley is actually like
Pretty good.
secretly a millionaire who doesn't have a lot of real problems other than the things that matter the most in life.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Love.
Love, right.
And he sure gets it.
Yeah.
Well, Stuart, do you know the what all these characters are based on?
What are they all based on?
So the inception of the script for this movie is I forget the name of the writer. Let me bring up the name of the writer of this movie.
Yeah.
So it's written by Brad Copeland, who was a writer of Arrested Development prior to this. But he was listening to George Carlin comedy, and there's a skit Carlin did talking about the guys you find at biker bars. And he goes through the 4 different types of guys you find at a biker bar.
Yeah.
And I haven't listened to the skit, but the 4 characters he describes always finding a biker bar are the 4 guys who are in this movie.
Yeah.
The wealthy guy who's trying to act cool. The dad who just wants to like get away from his family and feel free. The guy who's running from his wife. And the guy who like clearly is just a nerd and is just along for the ride.
Yeah.
And Carlin described those 4 archetypes you always find at the biker bar or the Harley Davidson store or whatever.
Yeah.
And Copeland's like, there's an idea for a script.
Yeah.
Hence, Wild
Wild
Hogs.
Hogs.
And that's where we get to we are now.
So I think, is it about time we hop right into the plot, Jeff?
I think it's about time. I mean, that's basically all the context for this movie.
Yeah. So, I mean, we start off with a shot of all 4 of our heroes slowly coming up single file on their motorcycles. We're establishing the hog life.
Right.
It's I can't, there was a saying about like, I can't remember it anymore, but like basically, they're showing like the hog motorcycle life that they have. And
Ride
then
together.
afterwards, then they're going to show the real lives that they all actually have. And so it starts off with, I think John Travolta's first.
No, we do
Or
Tim Allen.
It's Tim Allen first.
We go in billing order.
Billing order. So like it's Tim Allen on his motorcycle, and then we get John Travolta coming up, and then Martin Lawrence, followed by Dudley and William H. Macy. So they're all like fist bumping each other, doing the cool dad thing.
Yeah.
And then it gets to William H. Macy, Dudley. He fist bumps Travolta, and then he loses his balance and gets on the media.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's like, oh, it's all right. I got it. I almost lost it. Bam. And he hits like a board and gets knocked off. Classic comedy.
Yes.
We love
Good physical comedy in this
A lot
movie.
of physical comedy.
Yeah, yeah. And then we get to the chapters. We start with Doug.
Yeah.
Tim.
I do want to say, of the four guys, I think Travolta is the one who looks the most like a biker.
I agree.
I think
No
like
doubt.
I agree.
like it's especially just when he pulls his head back in the do-rag that he just really sells for me.
Well, like we're going to talk about the hair raking eventually.
Yeah.
Not right now, but like it's kind of a hard one to do because he just wears a do-rag the entire time.
He does
in this
wear a
movie.
do-rag the whole movie.
So, that's kind of that.
Every time he squints in this movie, it gains an extra like half star in my like.
It was even pointed out in the film, right?
Yeah.
In the biker
You're the
bar.
biggest poser of them all, aren't you, Squinty?
Well, we'll talk about when we. I'll just say it now, but that scene that was a Travolta improv in the
Yeah, he
moment
improvised it.
that they had. He had lines originally, and he's like, "What if I just squinted at these guys?" And he just said none of his lines, and all the actors just riffed off of what he was doing. She's
No
like,
way.
"I'm just gonna
Wow.
squint at him and
Is
see
he
what
deaf?
happens."
It's like, I guess he was when he came in here.
Yeah, we start with
Good chemistry with Tim Allen and Travolta in
Yeah.
this movie.
good chemistry between these four guys.
Yeah. I think that's worth pointing out.
Yes.
They do have good chemistry in the room together. So,
There's a reason this movie was a success.
Yeah.
And it's all based on the chemistry between these four guys, because that's what the movie rolls along with.
Yeah, yeah. So the first chapter we get into the real life is Doug. So Doug is a dentist. Well, it starts off in his like big home. So by the way, like they all talk about like John Travolta being wealthy, which I guess in relation he's got a penthouse and like a skyscraper, so he is. But like Doug's got a pretty big house too. You know,
sure does.
he's living pretty well.
This is running off of the 2000s comedy thing, like every Adam Sandler movie where he's like, "Oh, I'm just, a middle-class guy who lives in this like massive house with like a
I
trophy
think
wife played by
that's
Salma Hayek." or
That's
something.
exactly what it is. That's like if the intention of this movie is to say that Doug is the middle class person of this group,
Yeah, no kidding.
It's like you watch any like Disney Channel or Nickelodeon show from the 2000s. It's like, here's this casual kid and he goes to the public school and like he walks out in this like mansion of a house. It's like 3 cars in the driveway. That's like, oh, just going off to the office, and he gets like a Maserati. It's like, okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah, wait a minute.
yeah. So Tim Allen, Doug is sitting in the dining table at breakfast, and he's got like a fruit in front of him, and he wants to
Shriveled
get
up
big
grapefruit.
Yeah, shriveled
Like
up
a
grapefruit.
Pathetic looking grape.
That was a great scene. That kid's shoveling in bacon and eggs and toast.
And he goes to reach for it, and he's like, "Oh, not till you're what did he say?
LDL's below
LDL's below 100." So then it cuts to his work at the dentist office, and he's like, "So where are you going?" And he's like, and he's like, he says we're going on an African safari. He's like, "Oh, Africa? Oh, I haven't been out of Cincinnati in like 17 years or so."
Right.
It's like, you got to get out. And there's a little physical humor comedy with him slapping his face and getting the sucker out. You know what these call these things? It's like trademark. It's called powerful sucker. Good
Yeah,
joke.
that was a good scene.
Good bit. Good bit.
I like that this movie was filmed entirely in New Mexico. They did not leave New Mexico to film this movie at all. So everything that's in Cincinnati is filmed in Albuquerque,
I love that.
which becomes
not.
slightly apparent
Yeah.
when you look like, you look at a building, you're like, this building, you look behind it, and there's like kind of a desert. And you're like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is supposed to take place in Cincinnati, Ohio, and it's evidently is not. But
I did not pick up on that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like it's movie magic. Like you get away with it because the audience isn't looking for it.
yeah,
Like only someone who like is looking for it's going to notice these things.
yeah. So
I unfortunately had read the thing that said this
Plus,
is filmed
New
all in
Mexico is a big movie
Yeah.
making location, right? They have
Very,
a big film.
Albuquerque. A lot of great tax incentives in New Mexico
Right.
to film there.
yeah,
They did all of Breaking Bad, obviously, and I think The Avengers was filmed there.
Thor.
Thor.
I think Thor was done in New Mexico.
Okay, oh, yeah, it's set in New Mexico.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't then. I always think if it's ever set in a state in the movie, that it's never filmed there. You know what I mean?
General rule of thumb.
General rule of thumb. If they ever clearly say the name of the city that the characters are in, assume that they're not filming there. It just always seems to be the case, unless if it's like Chicago or New York or LA. Then maybe if they say, "Oh, we're in LA," then they're probably actually in LA.
I mean, there's a TV show that just finished filming in Chicago that I know people who worked on, and it's set in Detroit.
Which one?
It's called The Big Leap. I think it's airing right now.
Oh, gotcha.
I guess I don't have to be cagey. Like, it's airing right now. I know people worked on The Big Leap, and it's set in Detroit, but they filmed it in Chicago. And I have heard that next season it might move to another city, and like that might be the bit of the show is like every season's a new city.
Huh.
I think they called their shot. Film it in Detroit, but set it in Chicago.
Cheaper.
Exist in this very strange like alternate reality where Chicago and Detroit have swapped names and never talk about it. That is my opinion about what they should do.
My favorite though is when they clearly switch to New York in The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes.
Because like in The Dark Knight, it's in Chicago, but in The Dark Knight Rises, because of there was like a horrible like financial thing involved with shooting in Chicago, because they like destroyed some of the roads in Chicago on like some of the scenes, and so like the city got really mad and like fined them so much money. So they said, "Fuck it, they just moved to New York," and it looks like New York.
Yeah, it's very
definitely.
obvious.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Who's that? What chapter do they do after this? Is it Bobby? Or?
It's Travolta next, right?
Oh, I guess so. They still do it in billing order, because I thought Travolta was last, because I thought Travolta was last.
Okay, you're right. Travolta is last.
Yeah.
Because I have it in my notes here. It goes Alan, Lawrence, Macy, Travolta.
Yeah. So it's
This Travolta's one is the more or less the inciting incident that
yes.
them on the
Travolta's
road.
chapter of life is the inciting incident of it. And so we go with Bobby, who is in the office. He gets a call, and it's his wife. He's like, "Honey, I told you, don't call me while I'm in the office." And it's like, and she opens the door. It's like, "Well, your office happens to be your guest bedroom."
Right.
And so he's an unemployed writer. And it's the classic tell-all tale of like man who's controlled by his wife. Mm-hmm. And she's like
the classic Martin Lawrence plot device.
She wears the pants in the family, and so he has kids, one little girl, one like teenage daughter, and we get a few like bits and zingers here and there, but basically the wife is like, "You're going back to work. We made a deal that you'd write for 1 year, and that year is up." For the firm. We are left unambiguously. What is the firm? What is the firm, Dad?
It's a plumbing company.
Yeah.
Actually, like Roto-Rooter or something. I mean, they clean drains, right?
Yeah. So, and this is where we probably get my favorite bit of the entire movie. When he walks into that gas station.
The clerk.
The clerk.
I mean,
I was robbed yesterday, but your job was worse.
I saw my dad shot. I thought it was the worst thing I'd ever seen, but then I realized your life really is terrible.
No, it's I saw my dad shot. I did not cry until today.
That's right. That's right.
Because the Ms. Martin Lawrence has to clean a toilet that apparently has like
A trucker has devastated. Thank you
Trucker
very
is
much.
devastated. Yeah.
That is much truer than you may realize.
Oh,
I do not deny it.
yeah. Oh, good scene. Good
It
scene.
was a great scene. Because he's just totally deflated and defeated at that moment. His life is over as he knows it.
Yeah, yeah. Good stuff. So then we are given Dudley.
Wait, Macy.
Wow. I have a little fun tidbit about this scene that we're going to talk about. But he's in a coffee shop and he's on his computer. And he looks over and he sees a very attractive lady. So he's trying to like impress her with his technology.
His computer.
He's like, "Dudley, it is 9 a.m. And he's like, "Thank you." It's like, "Open internet, please. Command unknown. Open internet." Then internet open. Then he looks over at the girl. He says, "I think I need to search for alternative specs. Searching alternative sex." And then it pulls up
GrannyLove.com.
GrannyLove.com, and then all these pop-ups come up. And the fun tidbit is there's one little ad that pops up, and you hear "Barnyard Love," which is voiced by
John Travolta.
Oh, no way. It was?
He goes, Barnyard Love.
Barnyard Love. It's John Travolta voicing
Wow.
that.
But like it's all these like random like farmers meat and whatnot. It's like Granny Love, barnyardlove.com. There's like an old lady going, "Yeah, come into my bed, sweetie," and it's like, oh no.
It would have been devastating for Dudley. No doubt about it.
And he turns the computer off by spilling a thing of coffee on it by accident.
Yeah.
Works out in his favor though.
Yeah.
They're very casual about just destroying like expensive technology.
Yeah, they throw their cell phones and they're just cool about it. This is also the thin razor Motorola era too, flip phones. We're not at like we do have Blackberries, but not like iPhones.
Yeah.
Yet. So
Did you hear they cut off service to all Blackberries like last week?
no,
It was like the end of there's still phones that have BlackBerry label on them, but they're just Androids. But like the actual BlackBerry operating system was shut down last week.
Wow.
It was the end of an era.
This fucking guy.
He knows it all, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
It was it was just like I was like, wow, that's because I remember when Blackberries were the thing for like 3 years.
Don't you remember when Obama was elected? It was all about
It was
his
big
BlackBerry.
news that he had a BlackBerry.
Yeah, it was huge. They were all worried about what state secrets would be revealed on his BlackBerry.
It was like the 2-year period where it was like the iPhone was like kind of coming up, but the BlackBerry was like everyone's like,
But nobody was really
iPhone's
sure
my
about it.
phone.
Nobody was
Right.
really sure about it. It's like there are no buttons. What? Makes no sense.
There's only one.
Touch it with my fingers. Insanity.
Do you remember when the iPad was revealed?
Oh my god.
Everyone was like, what? I would just get a computer. And it's like, I have a computer, I have a phone. Why do I need an iPad? And then it's the biggest selling piece of technology or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember I can't remember who the late night show was, but they did a whole 5-minute routine on how dumb the idea of the iPad was.
And now it's like I see it more used for like work purposes. It's very much a work utility piece of technology rather than like casual piece of technology.
I mean, I for one walk around with my iPad just for phone conversations, just right up against my side of my head.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Or, you're just playing Minecraft on it.
Yeah. You know me, always crafting the mines.
Yeah. This is why we need a sequel to Wild Hogs to see what technology Dudley is using today. You think he'd go down the Android route or the iPhone route?
Obviously the plot of Wild Hogs 2 is they have to rescue Dudley because he's now like a trillionaire, but he's under like investigation for accidentally embezzling state secrets or some craziness.
From his hideaway in Madrid.
Yeah, from Maggie's Diner.
It's all a front.
Yeah, it's all front for his schemes.
Oh, man. So then we get Woody.
Yes.
Travolta.
Woody Stevens.
Which
is quite a name.
Very.
I talked to Stuart about this, but I am convinced the only reason he's named Woody in this movie is just so they can have Tim Allen constantly say Woody.
Woody.
There's no other reason they would have named Travolta Woody in this movie except for with Tim Allen as his like co-star, unless the clear intent was Tim Allen to keep saying Woody, Woody, Woody.
Yeah. Do you think they tried to get Tom Hanks in this movie, or do you think that was never even in conversation?
I don't.
Instead of?
Travolta.
I mean, that would have. It's strange that they never did that.
Yeah.
Like the 2000s was like the prime time for them. Just like, you've seen this star, watch them together in this movie. Like, I am very surprised they didn't try and get Tim Allen and Tom Hanks in a movie together.
Live action role. Yeah.
Like that just seems like money in the bank.
Yeah.
For like Disney to be like, you seen them animated, now see them together in, I don't know, Turner and Hooch 2 or something. I don't know.
I think one of them was a dog, so that might not have worked.
Okay, here's the pitch. All right, I'm laying it out right now. Here's the pitch. Forget about the Disney Plus Turner and Hooch TV show. Here's the pitch. Turner and Hooch 2. Tom Hanks. He's paired up with a new canine partner. It's the Shaggy Dog.
Voiced by
Tim Allen. And halfway through the movie, he morphs back into Tim Allen. That's the pitch.
Great.
That's the pitch. That's the movie.
Let me get my checkbook.
Money in the bank.
Oh, God.
Have you seen the Shaggy Dog?
No.
Did you see? Okay.
No, I've not seen this.
Prime Tim Allen. It was very funny. It's Robert Downey Jr.'s comeback movie from his heroin addiction.
Wow.
Like he's off the radar for like 3 years. He comes back and does Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and the Shaggy Dog, and that's his comeback.
You know, speaking of heroin addiction, we never talked about Tim Allen's cocaine smuggling thing.
We never did talk about his days as a cocaine smuggler.
We did not.
Yeah.
It's just great.
Yeah. It's a piece of information.
The mugshot is just great.
Yeah. The mugshot.
Because he has like that 70s stash.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
Mm-hmm. And it is one of those very impressive comeback stories, like akin to like a Robert Downey Jr. or something like that, where he was busted for smuggling cocaine. He got out of it by like cooperating with the feds, which seems like it would have like kind of just been the end of it for him.
Yeah, but he did a big like mea culpa.
Yeah.
Apologized. He did the right.
Yeah, he did the whole he did the comeback tour, the apology run.
Right.
Yeah.
And eventually just kind of slowly built himself back up from the ground. He didn't try and launch back into it. He went back to bottom, built back up. And it worked for him.
Yeah. For a while.
Yeah, for a while. I mean, it's still working for him. Last Man Standing is still airing.
It's true. He's still got a show going on.
Really popular, my understanding.
He's making paychecks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's not in Lightyear, but he's been in 4 Toy Story movies.
And he's going to be in more.
I think they're done with them.
You think 4 was the last?
I think they're done with the Toy Story movies.
Well, they're going to always make short films with them.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing that Lightyear movie, so.
Do you think they're going to do like a Woody?
That would be very funny if they did that.
If they just did like a Woody standalone movie, but in the universe where Woody exists. What was the name of the movie in Toy Story 2? Woody's Roundhouse?
Woody's Roundup.
Woody's Roundup.
Yeah, Woody's Roundup.
What if they did a Woody's?
Look at this guy. He can't remember the name. Can you believe this?
I actually can.
You raised this
Yeah.
guy. He can't even remember
Right.
Woody's Roundup.
Oh my
Come on,
God.
Stuart.
Disappointment. So anyway, back to
Enough
Wild
about,
Hogs.
What about
Wild
Lightyear?
Back to Wild Hogs. So then we are given an introduction into Travolta, Woody.
Woody Stevens.
And the first thing we get to is he's in a lawyer's office. He
Right.
says, "You're broke."
Yeah.
That was a pretty good bit. So
Yeah.
what are you trying to say? I mean, what's this all boiled down to?
You're broke.
You have no money.
You have no money.
Well, when you say no money,
I mean, you are broke. You are not going broke. You are broke.
it was great.
So, yeah, he has no money. And he's like, well, maybe the supermodel. And he's like, you're getting a divorce to the supermodel. And so then, yeah, Woody's life is in shambles. And then we cut back to his penthouse. And he's on the phone with somebody. And he's like,
He's yelling.
he's like, what was his name?
Teddy, don't F me.
Teddy. And it's like, don't you screw me over on this, Teddy. No, it's not about money. Don't insult me. Don't it. And then he walks outside. It's like, well, fine, Teddy, go home. Cut to a little 10-year-old kid with a rake. He's raking leaves, which I thought was a good bit.
So you didn't tell me it was this much.
It's like, I can't rake all this leaves in for $10.
He said, your flyer said $10 any lawn.
It's like, it'll take hours. He's like, well, fine, Teddy, just go home.
He was wound a little tight at that point in time, wasn't he?
Travolta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is at the point in time where his performance has kind of narrowed down to 2 archetypes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's either like the cool, suave uncle or like a really freaked out dad,
Yeah.
which is kind of like the
He
combination.
has 2 modes at this point, angry or chill.
Yeah, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like in Lonely Hearts, he's just
Yeah.
playing depressed cop the
Yeah.
entire time. It's just one mode.
Mm.
So, yeah.
He's settling into ruts and rhythms, which is a bad place for him to be.
Yeah.
Because I think we talked about that. He's only really good when there's a director's trying to molds him into a character
Yeah.
instead of him just coming and being like, all right, I'm playing a cop. And he does cop,
Yeah.
which is fine, but it's not a great performance.
No. So then we, after we get the chapter into all of their lives, we get back with Doug, who's back at his home. And he's like, hey, kiddo, you want to play some basketball sometime? And he's like, nah, I'm fine. He's playing video games. The classic early 2000s story of a kid ignoring his dad playing video games, which you know all too well.
I didn't think there was going to be any crying.
Hey, come on. I wasn't that bad.
No, you weren't.
I wasn't that bad. But then he's like, nah, I'm good. And then Doug's wife gets a call. And he's like, hey, like Connor's dad, we're going to play catch something. Oh, yeah, sweet. And Tim Allen, rightfully so, was like, I just asked if you want to play catch like a moment ago. And he's like, yeah, but Connor's dad's cool.
He can totally dunk,
He can
Dad.
totally dunk, Dad. He's like, well, the hoop's like, what, 8 feet tall? Anybody can dunk on that. He's like, well, See ya. That's it. No
Yeah.
other conversation. The kid's clearly just like, well, fuck off, Dad. And then just leave.
Saunters out.
And then the wife comes to console him.
He's like, I'm
not
so
the
sorry.
boy, but oh, I didn't realize you just asked him.
Oh, yeah. It's like, what do I got to do to impress my own son? And then he opens the closet. And what does he see? The Wild Hog jacket.
Right.
The wife in this.
But where was the dinner scene in this? After that?
Where they talk about the trip?
No, where he starts drinking gravy.
After this.
Okay.
It's after this.
Okay.
Yeah. What are you looking up?
I was just looking up who played the wife in this. I thought it was someone who wasn't. I thought it was Linda Fiorentino, but it's Jill Hennessy.
Gotcha. Not Aunt May from Spider-Man.
No,
Way Home.
Marissa later. She's later in the movie.
Yeah. She's later in the movie.
Totally hot wife, though.
Yeah. Like Tim Allen's got it made pretty well. So then they go to this biker bar, and the first thing is we see is this waiter guy. What's his name? He's like, wild hogs aren't welcome here.
Yeah, we were talking about it.
It's the guy from American Chopper.
Yeah.
Right.
Paul, whatever his name is.
And he's like, hey.
Paul Tootle.
He's
Senior.
like, hey, Paul. Hey, guys. Nice to see you. Dress up some menus and and they're
Him and Woody have that little, hey, we got to get together about this whatever investment offshore deal, and maybe we could do a spa day. That was fun.
a spa day. And he's like, a spa day? What? This is probably the start of many, many, many gay jokes in this movie. There's a lot of them.
The first of many.
The first of many.
That was the first, wasn't it?
I think it was. This was like the first of many to stop with a spa day joke. But they talk. It's like, I don't want to go to this bar anymore. It's like, why? It's like, because it's a fake biker bar. Like, we should be like out on the road, man. We should be doing all this stuff. And this is all Woody talking.
I must ask, did anyone see what the name of the bar was?
No.
Because it's very clever.
What is it?
It's a Bikers Island, spelled with a Y, like Rikers Island in New York.
Did not catch that.
If you
This
look in the
fucking
back,
guy.
like it's literally just like a single like decal, like put on the window of the restaurant.
Yeah.
Bikers Island.
BYKE.
Yeah,
This fucking
it's very
guy.
good.
This guy.
That's stuff we normally notice, but I don't. Well, your mom was watching it with me, so there was a lot of laughter the
Gotcha.
whole time.
Yeah.
I just want to shout out the production designer or the set decorator who came up with that idea.
Yeah.
Put it on, and I'm probably the first person to notice. Like 15 years.
He probably really had to sell that idea.
Yeah. He's like, I
you'll get
promise you I can get it printed for cheap.
Yeah. So I think at this point, at this point, I write down this movie is for the dads written in all caps because this is this is where I really get like the idea of like the dads coming together and like talking about their lives and how everything's going, and they're all talking about their problems, and they all look at Woody and they're like, well, Woody, you got it all made, supermodel wife and all this stuff. He's like, well, every man's treasure is another man's misery or whatever. So they just kind of played it cool. And so then I think we get the idea of the road trip in this scene where Woody's like, we should be out on the road. It's like, I can't go out on the road. I got to work and all this stuff.
Right.
And Dudley is the first to be like, yeah, I mean, I'll go. Like, I'll do it. I got nothing else going on. Because again, Dudley's a millionaire.
Right.
This is again
A closet millionaire.
the
that's
closet
right.
millionaire who like honestly can do whatever the hell he wants. And then Martin Lawrence, obviously with the wife thing, is like, oh no, I can't get away from my wife, man. So, and then,
But they kind of bust each other's chops into all of them agreeing, right?
eventually, yeah. So then afterwards, like, Travolta leaves and like he's mad 'cause they're all saying no. This other guy comes up and they're talking about the parade with like the flags and stickers and saying, by the way, we're wearing these like black ribbons because so-and-so died very suddenly and it's very sad. He's like, oh, that guy.
He was my age.
He was our age, wasn't he?
Right.
Cut to back at Doug's house.
That's where the dinner scene
That's
came
the
from.
dinner scene where they're like, I can't remember how the conversation started.
Well, he had an ugly spinach salad, and they're
Yeah.
eating meatloaf and mashed potatoes and gravy.
Yeah.
And
And he just loses it.
He loses his
basically.
mind and just starts like shoveling everything into his mouth at the same time.
Yeah, he pours
Men like
gravy.
meat.
And he starts just eating drinking the
Drinking
gravy.
the gravy.
Yeah.
The big one is when he eats a stick of butter.
oh,
Which,
yeah.
Man.
I would first like to point out, fakest looking stick. It literally like crumbles.
Wonder
like a
what that
crumb.
was. Because man, butter
I
would
don't
have
know
been
what the
brutal.
It looks
butter.
hollow when he bites into it.
Like it's just a plasticky thing.
Yeah, like he bites it and it like crumples like it's
Crumples.
hollow.
I don't know.
Like, I don't know what they used.
Probably just like a baby toy plastic butter thing.
Well, he does bite it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
he
he
eats
does.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't think it was plastic.
I don't know what it would be.
But he says what I think is maybe the most dad line in this movie, where he's like, "The French love butter. They never won a battle, but they sure know how to eat." And I'm like, "Yep, that's about right."
It's at this point that he starts to like kind of slow down a little bit, and they're like, "Uh-oh, are you good? Are you good?" Like, I'm fired. I'm not fired. I'm
Smash
not
cut
fired.
to emergency room.
Yeah, he's in an emergency room. Doctor walks in. He's like, "Oh, so Mr. So and so's like, Doctor." He's like, "Oh, so I can put it in layman's terms." He's like, "You have chronic acute blah 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 blah." He's like, "I'm actually a dentist, so I didn't understand anything you said." It's like, "Oh, you had a stress-induced panic attack." I'm not stressed.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, we get that a lot from men in your middle. We hear that a lot from men who's like in their middle age." He's like, "I'm not middle aged." Like, we get that a lot too. So then he walks out, and then Tim Allen looks at his wife. He's like, "I am middle aged, aren't I?" And he says, "Honey, you should go on this trip."
Yeah, very encouraging.
Yeah, it's like, "I think you should go on this trip with Woody." It's like he doesn't like nowhere. You don't have a plan. It's like a trip to nowhere, and that's like kind of the phrase of the whole movie that I wrote: a trip to nowhere. Because I mean, they say they're going to the Pacific Coast, but they're just like aimlessly driving. And so like, that's exactly what you need. And then cut to side of the road. They're going on the trip.
Yeah. This movie, it has the problem of like all the guys have wives who are like 15 years younger than them.
Yeah.
But it does get credit in the sense that, with the exception of Martin Lawrence, it doesn't necessarily like have them be like the problem for these guys.
Right. Yeah.
Like Tim Allen's wife is supportive of him. Marissa Tomei is an active character later in the movie. Martin Lawrence obviously has problems with his wife that he has to solve at the end. But for a movie that stars like 4 middle-aged guys with younger wives, it doesn't do as much of the trope of like these guys need to escape their wives as you would expect from a movie.
Right. They're all just nagging. They're actually can be supportive.
Yeah, because like she encourages him to go on the trip, and that's like a good element for her character and their relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking about that, and we had multiple, as Stuart would attest, multiple businesses when he was growing up.
Yeah.
And we had opened one, and it was nightmarish. And I had a trip planned, 4 guys golf trip.
Yeah.
And I remember your mom saying, "Nope, you just need to go."
Mm.
And it just hit me just now as I was thinking about that. Yeah, women are really like that. They recognize. So that was a real moment in the movie, I guess, of a lot of craziness and slapstick humor and physical humor.
Sometimes, like even if it is a crisis moment, that sometimes you just need to step away and kind of find yourself.
Yeah.
To come back and confront that crisis that you're facing.
And that's why like Tim Allen really is the top billing of this movie, even though the inciting incident is not himself. Yeah. Like it doesn't start off as his journey, but it becomes his journey.
Yeah.
Later on.
Yes, right. I don't want to. I'm just thinking about it right now because I think it comes up in the scene, maybe in the bar.
Delphegos?
No, in the biker island or whatever. When did Woody first call Doug the Golden Knight?
That was that scene. Yeah.
In the bar? Or
in the bar.
Okay.
Yeah, because he said, like, this guy used to be like crazy. We used to call him the Golden Knight.
The Golden Knight.
The Golden Knight. That's a good callback.
He used the hype up at the end.
Yeah. Holy shit, it's the Golden Knight.
Very well orchestrated, but still.
Yeah. So they show up and they're getting ready to go on their trip and they're talking about it, and they're doing the classic dad thing where it's like, "Oh yeah, my wife set me up with this GPS, we're gonna not be lost anywhere." And it's like, "No, we're not using a GPS." And then it's like, "Oh, you think this is really cool?" And then Woody chucks it and it's like, "Why'd you do that? No nuts." And he's like, "Cause we don't need a phone, we just need us in the open road, free, and we need to be free." And like Woody's really pushing this narrative.
We're gonna go for the West Coast, but no maps. We're just gonna find it out.
Yeah. So then it's like, "Oh, well, I got a phone." And it's like, "Oh, nope." And then
they just destroy their cell phones.
Yeah, they just destroy their cell phone. And then, and we get the Apple tattoo bit with William H. Macy. It's like,
I got a tat.
Why are you all happy? It's like, I got attacked, guys. Yep. And he pulls it. It's an apple tattoo. And he's like, oh.
But it's like the
It's
rainbow apple logo from
yeah. And he's like,
the old one.
And they're all looking at him. It's like, oh. And he's like, I know. Trademarked. But what can they do? It's on my skin, bitch.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he totally ruins it by smashing the windshield of the truck driver's truck with the phone.
Yeah. So then they got to get on their bikes and hightail it out
Yeah,
of
just
there.
get out of there.
And-
Get out of Albuquerque, Cincinnati.
Yeah. Cut to first montage road trip.
Yeah.
Their first road trip montage.
And then we've settled into a road trip movie, which
Yeah.
is like, if I had like a bread and butter type of movie, just like something that like, maybe it's not the most nutritious, but it's something I can always rely on to like just satisfy me. A road trip movie is always going to do it.
yeah.
Like I love Easy Rider, which is what this movie pulls a fair bit from.
Mm-hmm.
And I love a lot of like, the 90s and 2000s road trip movies, your Dumb and Dumbers and your Pauls and whatnot. So I can always just settle into the groove of these type of movies.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think it's just like, it's always just a parallel of the, overarching road trip movie in terms of the characters as well. See, it's easy tie-ins with, bumps on the road physically and bumps on the road mentally, emotionally.
When it comes to road trip movies, like the best structure and the most basic structure is like every sequence is basically its own short film. Like the characters
Right.
go on the road trip, they show up at a spot, there's something that happens there, they have to solve it, they resolve it, they move on to the next one.
Yeah.
So it kind of it has this vignette structure of just a lot of little short film incidents.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite structure for a movie. I love that. And it's also something that's easy to follow along with. And if you're watching it at home, take a bathroom break, because you can be like, all right, pause, that sequence is done. I can pick right back up.
Yeah. Great for middle-aged men.
Or older.
Yeah.
Was your implication there a lot of bathroom breaks?
Yes. That is my implication.
That's why I asked how long this would last.
Yeah. Well, if you gotta go, you can go. Like you can. It doesn't matter. Jeff and I will keep riffing.
Riffing in the mentions.
Yeah.
Can I take the microphone in case I want to comment while I'm in there?
No, I don't think the cable's gonna last that long. Unfortunately.
I've always said that we should get these mics hooked up stand-up style, so I can just walk around the room and just be like, what's the deal with airplane? What's the deal with Wild Hogs? Am I right?
Yeah. So then we get the first camping scene.
Yes.
And, they're sitting down on the campfire. Martin Lawrence is blowing up an air mattress.
Right.
And John Travolta is like, Bobby, I got 2 words for you. Foot pump. And he's like, I'll tell you this. I got a cheap-ass wife.
Right.
This.
Because he's blowing this long straw.
it's tube.
Trying to get this thing inflated.
And then Dudley steps out from the darkness in the woods, and he has a plastic bag. He's like, guys, this is poop, so don't eat it. He's like, oh, what? He's like, that's supposed to go in the ground. It's like, this is plastic. I'm not going to bury it in the earth. And he's like, I'm just going to, find a trash can tomorrow. So he plops it down and sits next to Bobby. It's like, so you're just going to sit next to me with that doo-doo.
You just sit there with us.
And he's like, well, I guess I'll just go hanging in the tree. And Travolta's like, no, don't go hanging in the tree, Dudley. It's like, why not? Because bears don't eat shit.
Right. Right.
So then Tim Allen has a little bit of internal moment. It's like, this is nice, isn't it? Bunch of guys, in the nature, having a time of our lives. It's like, it's like, who'd have thought? You ever look back at your life and think about how you get to where you are today? He's like, yeah. He's like, I mean, and they all talk about their individual problems and like, and
that's when they start talking about, well, Woody's really got it made though.
yeah, right.
Because, he's rich and he's got the supermodel wife, and he says something like, what'd my wife ever do for you? And Martin Lawrence says, made me hard.
Yeah.
I think I was at that scene where he says, not exactly like that. But that was, and then you say Disney, and I'm like, wow, that was a Disney film.
Yep.
I never heard that.
It was a Disney
Pinocchio
film.
or whatever.
Yeah.
This is the scene that really highlights Travolta's storyline in this film is, the archetype of the guy who has everything but has nothing.
Yeah.
Like kind of your Ebenezer Scrooge type, where he's got everything except for happiness.
Well, he doesn't even have everything because
Yeah.
he's lost
Well, he's
everything.
He had everything.
He had
Right.
everything.
Right.
He's the poser, really.
Yep.
So then at that point, he's like, you think your marshmallow's done, Doug? And so he lifts up a marshmallow on fire. It's like, hey, it kind of looks like Dudley's helmet. And then he flips it, and it catches the tent on fire. So it's like, and then he's blowing. It's like Bobby's blowing. It's like, I think I'm almost halfway. Oh, in only an hour.
Yeah.
It's like, you can borrow one of the spare bags, and you turn around. It's like, oh,
It's on fire.
It's on fire. They're trying to put it out, and Dudley runs in with a can. He's like, I got some water. It's like, no, let's lighter fluid. And then like it sparks up in flames. Like, this is the wrong can.
And they lose Dudley's underwear that's hanging up.
Yeah. It's like, oh, my drawers are in there. So then cut to the next morning.
They had to do all that to get to the next morning. Right?
Yeah.
Really, they did.
Yeah.
All they have is an air mattress and a blanket.
Yeah.
And so they share the air mattress. And who is it? Who sleeps on the ground?
Bobby.
Is it Bobby? Okay.
It's Bobby. Because there's a joke with that too. So in this scene, it's the three of them sitting on the mattress, Bobby on the ground, and we see footsteps come up.
Mm.
And what's the name of the actor? Jeff?
John C. McGinley.
John C.
American
McGinley.
Treasure, star of Scrubs, Dr. Cox in Scrubs specifically.
So this patrolman comes up and sees these guys, and they slowly wake up, and they're having all this like innuendo talk.
Right.
The best way I can put it.
Right.
So he's like, oh man, like my ass is so sore. It's like, well, that's because like Woody wrote us so hard last night. The human body was never
forgotten
meant
that.
to sustain such aggression. And then Bobby wakes up. He's like, oh, so I'm the one in the dirt after 4 hours of blowing.
Right.
And then they all turn around to see the cop, and the cop's like, please, for the love of God, finish that sentence.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's John C. McGinley in. Have you ever seen Reno 911?
No.
Because he's wearing the Officer Jim Dangle shirt. It's like
Spray painted.
Yeah, it's like the shirt that you buy at the costume store. It's like sexy cop, where it's like just short sleeves, really tight.
Yeah.
And it's John C. McGinley who just immediately looks funny.
Yeah.
'Cause
Immediately.
he's-
And the hair.
Yeah.
And, if there's any hair ranking we're going to do in this episode, it's got to be John C. McGinley. Because his hair in this is, wow.
Yeah.
It is.
I wish I could like talk like he talks, because it's just a lot of thinking like this is how he enunciates.
Please, for the love of God.
Please, for love of God, continue that
finish
sentence.
that sentence. And he's like, the officer, this isn't what it looks like. Let me tell you exactly what it looks like here. This looks like 3 counts of public indecency, 2 counts of something, and 1 count of pure jealousy. Cue the romance music, and they're like, wait, what? He's like, how you doing?
And this highway patrolman wants to get in on the action.
Yeah, so that he's like, oh, hey, well, no. That he's like, stand up. It's like, oh, you guys are great. And then they all stand up. It's like, listen, like, we're all like just friends here. He's like, oh, I don't believe me. I get it. And then they all stand up. And that's when we see Dudley is not wearing pants.
Yes.
So he's
A
like,
problem that will happen many times in this movie.
True enough.
so that he's like, oh, dear God. And then he's like, you are so lucky. And then Dudley puts his arm around Woody's like, I like to think so too. He's like, I have known what you felt as I have felt it too. And then just walks away.
Yeah, the cop just leaves,
Yeah.
Well,
understanding that.
then
Five's a
Woody
crowd.
says he doesn't even look at Dudley. He just says, "Are you wearing pants?"
No.
Nope.
Yeah,
Put some pants on.
there's some bit where it's like,
Oh yeah.
4's a party, 5's a crowd.
Right.
Yeah, five's an odd number.
Yeah, Charles is like, 5's an odd number. Do the math.
So that's when the cop leaves, and
Yeah.
they're about to get back on the road. And then as they're on the road, we see a real biker gang,
The Del Fuego.
the Del Fuegos. It is the Del Fuegos, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's the Del-
yeah.
We didn't know it at the time.
Right. It's like we
Right.
didn't know it at the time. It's just like any regular biker gang, but they all pass by, and Dudley does like the fist in the air. I love that bit so much. It's the try hard dad of like fist in the air.
Yeah.
It's like, I can smell those guys from here. So then they all get on their bikes, and now we are in second road montage bit.
Yeah, they go from like Illinois. It's like, we're in Illinois, and that's like New Mexico. So well,
Right.
how'd they get there so fast?
Yeah, they get there really fast. There's a couple bits like the bugs hitting their faces, and then
Right.
Travolta laughing at them, and then a bird hits him.
And then the stopping the RV guy.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
Bobby's
the
gotta
RV
take a
guy.
dump.
He's like, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I left the window open.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they're standing along the roadside peeing. There's a great background.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And they're peeing on each other's leg and
Good
stuff.
shot.
It was
good
good.
shot. Yeah. So then they pull over into a Springs.
Oh my gosh.
And we see Bobby, Woody, and Doug in the spring already swimming, and then we get the cheeks.
Dudley is back.
Dudley's back.
William H. Macy has no fear in this movie.
No, he does not.
Does William H. Macy as an actor have any fear?
No,
at
I mean,
all?
have you seen
never-
a single clip of Shameless?
Yeah.
He's literally shameless.
He is fearless. Dudley climbs up to the top of this rock, about to dive over, stark nude, full gun in it.
Yeah.
And he dives in. It's like, hey guys, like the water looks great. And he jumps in. They're all looking at him. It's like, oh man, you guys got your skivvies on? He's like, yeah. It's like, oh well, I thought we were doing this wild and free thing. They all kind of look around at each other, and they all look at.
Can't remember who's next.
Doug. It's Doug.
Doug is
because
next?
Doug is the one who is like, yeah, we're just kind of old and lame, huh? The other guy, he would have just ripped those things right off. And then he like dips back in the water. He's like, yeah, I think it's about that time. And then he rips off his undies and then tosses them over. And he's like, wild and free. And then Bobby's like, all right, well, no one get any close. I don't want to turn this into a size contest or anything. So that he takes his off. And then they're like, wow, man, wild and free. And then they look over and they look at Travolta. And he's like, huh, okay, fine. I will get naked with my gay friends in this, in this pond. And takes them all off. And it's like, this is the life. And then van pulls up.
Yeah.
A family comes out.
Yes, two kids.
Parents.
Mom and dad. Like classic American look. They're all in like checkered shirts and whatnot. They're like, let's go swimming. Hey, look,
Like,
there's friends already in there.
Oh God. The kids are coming. This is a pretty good bit.
Yeah.
And they like get it. It's like, hey guys, you mind if we come in? Oh, there's actually a shallower pond over here. He's like, oh no, these guys are great, good swimmers, man. Like, show them your little. He does this like tuck thing where he rolls. Like, no, don't do that. So they all get in the water, and the kids start approaching. Like, kids are coming. They're like, oh, hey, there's a crawfish. We got a crawfish in here. It's like,
My
crawfish.
dad's like, let me go see if I can get it.
See if I can get one. He dives down, and he's like, he's looking for crawfish. Like, well, he's gonna find one in a minute.
And he pops up in front of Woody.
Yeah.
That was great.
And he just says, kids, out of the pool.
Out of the water now.
That's when the mom's
Mom's like, wait, what?
yeah,
And then she
I've got
sees,
potato salad, right?
and then she sees like the potato salad bit because it comes back. But she looks around, it's like, why do we gotta get out? And she sees a swim trunk. It's like, kids, out of the pool, out of the pool, out of the pool now. And they all get over a leave. And my favorite line, probably in the whole movie, is like, I bet her potato salad was really good. And then we get another.
John C. McGinley comes back.
John C. McGinley comes back.
I'm actually disappointed he doesn't appear at the end of the movie.
Me too, man. That he's not the cop that saves the day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It seems like obvious money in the bank, but they don't do it.
Obvious. They don't.
Yeah, they wasted him.
They
I mean,
did.
maybe they thought they couldn't top it because those were two.
Because he just shows up and he's bare and all, and he's like, "Let's go swimming, guys."
Let's get involved. He said, and he jumps
And
in.
then he's like, oh, I see. A little tough crowd? Well, then plan B. Covers his eyes. Marco. Dudley Bead, stupid polo. What? Marco.
So they all escape.
Yeah.
And it can only be presumed John C. McGinley is still in that pool, yelling Marco, waiting for someone to respond. To this day, in fact.
yeah, we never see him again.
16 years later.
Yeah, he's like, Marco. He's like shriveled up like a prune.
Marco.
He's like eating raw fish to survive.
I would have to say, though, for middle-aged men, right, including
John C.
Yeah.
McGinley.
yeah, they were amazingly fit.
Yeah, none of these guys look too bad.
No,
No, not really.
no, not really.
Yeah. So, anyway, road trip montage number 3. Back on the road, and then Del Fuego's.
Del Fuego.
Yeah, we're moving pretty quickly through this movie too. I think this
Yeah.
is the halfway mark.
That was my point when I watched it. It just came. Except
this
for the
movie
road
goes fast.
trip sections, which are like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
It came bang, bang, bang. It was just really hammering along.
Yeah, if you take out the road trip bits, like between when they set off on their road trip and then skip to the next thing that happens, which would be the camping scene, skip the next montage and go to the pond scene, skip to the next thing, that's Del Fuego's. Like, you're already to the halfway point of the movie,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
I think, would you say Del Fuego's is like halfway point, I feel like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd have to
roughly.
go with
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Because that's like the midpoint, incident that gives the climax of the rest.
changes
the
the
rest
whole
of the
movie.
movie.
So they go to this biker bar and they're checking out all these cool bikes and they walk in. It's the classic It's the classic scene where like fish out of water walk into an establishment and the music dies down.
And everyone goes quiet and looks at them.
Yeah. It does that bit with this. And they all there's a booth over here. Oh, you can take this table over here.
And they don't sit down. And then who comes over?
Ray Liotta.
It's fucking Ray Liotta doing a biker.
Fucking Ray Liotta.
Ray Liotta. I'd forgotten. I could not come up with a name.
And for anyone who's curious at home, he does the Ray Liotta laugh, which I can best describe as well, the thing is, like, the thing that makes it so disturbing is that his mouth doesn't move.
Right.
Like, he's not laughing. He's just like, ha. It's so strange. I can't do it.
It's weird. It's really weird.
But Biker Billy, he really steals a lot of scenes.
Biker Billy.
You know, the ball-headed
the guy that's like, we're going to rip their balls off. And he's like, I'm going to rip them off and put them in my mouth. And you're like, dude, what?
Exactly.
Who plays that guy? Because I recognized him.
Yeah, yes, I did too, but I didn't.
He's a Blob in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Is that who it is?
Yeah.
Is that actually who it is?
I'm ashamed that I knew that reference.
X-Men
Oh,
Origins.
my
Wolverine.
God.
He's Blob. You probably haven't seen that.
No, I
Yeah.
don't think so.
He certainly is. That is why I recognized him.
Yeah. You call me Blob. I call him Bub. It's dumb. Dumb movie.
Anyway,
So
he was good. He was
Yeah.
a good supporting character in that.
Ray Liotta shows up, sits down on the table with them, and starts talking to them. He's like, "Oh, hey, we don't want any trouble." It's like, "Oh, no, sit down. I insist."
That was great how he did that too, because no. You know,
Yeah.
just on and on and on. Like,
Yeah.
it was awesome.
And so he sits them down. They're talking like, where are you guys coming from? It's like, we're coming from Cincinnati, Ohio. Yeah, we're doing a little road trip to Pacific Coast. And they start talking. And then it looks over at Travolta. And he's like, what's up with this guy? And he's just not making a face. And then Travolta takes off his sunglasses and just starts squinting at him. He's like, are you deaf? And he's like, is he deaf? He's like,
I think Doug says, or Tim Allen says, he wasn't one who came in here.
yeah. So it's like, Doug makes kids cry.
That's right.
It's like,
I
what?
remember that.
It's like, yeah, Doug makes kids cry. And it's like, no, I didn't. It's like, you made my kid cry. It's like, your kid was crying before she came over. Shut up.
Yeah.
From Ray Liotta. So then Dudley comes up and he's like, oh, another wild hog.
Yeah.
Hey. She's like, oh, by the way, who has the sweet panhead out there? It's
Right.
like, that's my panhead. It's like, sweet ride. It's like, well, I'm sick of it. I'm looking to get rid of it. He's like, what about you? It's like, oh, I got like a, Sportster. It's like, I've been wanting to get a Sportster. I've been talking about how much I want another Sportster. It's a pretty good impression of Ray Liotta.
That was a great impression of Ray
Yeah.
Liotta.
So he's like, you got to trade there, buddy. It's like, oh, no. And then all the other Wild Hogs telling him, like, Dudley, do not do this. Like, oh, really? Yeah. And then they all step out of the bar.
He makes the trade.
Makes the trade. And then he's like, oh, sweet. He's like, oh, no, that isn't your panhead. He's like, what? Your panhead's over here in the back. And he shows him, and it's like as Dudley says, a piece of junk. It's just like a frame, basically.
Right.
So he's like, yep, that's your piece of junk. So he's like, oh, and he's like, you know what I'm sick of? I'm sick of the suburban dads who put on leather jackets and try to be bikers. And then he gives them the whole speech about Damian Slade, who founded the bar Del Fuegos and all that good stuff.
That's where he introduces that character.
Yeah, and he says that was a real biker, and you guys aren't real bikers. And he's like, you guys don't know us. It's like, oh, you're probably like, a podiatrist or a mouth and throat specialist. And he's like, I wish. Orthodontist. Oh,
Right.
close enough. And he's like, and you, Bobby, I bet you're like, wife, where's the pants? You know my wife? And then he goes to Dudley. It's like, and you're probably like someone who bags his own shit. And he's like, wow, you're good. What color am I thinking?
I mean, he's basically
Dudley is oblivious. Isn't he?
Liotta basically just starts doing the Carlin bit that inspired the movie.
Yeah.
And being like, I can tell everything about these guys just by looking at them.
It's like, and you're the biggest pose of them all, to Travolta. Aren't you squinty? And then
Good
he walks
line.
away. So then they're driving away. Dudley's in the sidecar of Travolta's bike.
They tell him, well, he needs a ride, and Riolo's like, we can make something work. So they hook up a sidecar too.
So then as they're riding away, Travolta pulls over and the other guys pull over. He's like, what's going on? It's like, this sucks, man. We shouldn't be pushed around by these guys. It's like, we're really going to stop the trip because of them? Yeah.
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 They're like, nah, like I'm gonna go down and talk to them. So then Travolta goes in solo, and we get the Dead or Alive soundtrack. And so he sneaks into the parking lot, cuts all the fuel lines of all the motorcycles, takes Dudley's bike, and
zips out of there. And the guys are like, how'd you do it? And he's like, I just told him I have a big shot lawyer, and I'll sue them all to sue all their asses off if they touch us.
If they touch us, they're going to lose everything they have, lose everything they're going to have. And they backed off, man. They backed off.
And they all buy it. They're like, yeah, this makes sense.
No, this is what we would do.
Yeah, exactly. So then they're like, all right, so I guess we're going to go across, right? It's like, yeah, just let's do it before they change your minds. So they get on their bikes, they're going across, and they're all making faces at the Del Fuegos who see them biking away. Travolta gives them the finger, and then they're like, those sons of bitches have balls. Then they get on their bikes, and they're getting ready to go out, and then all their bikes stop. Ray Liotta has a cigarette, drops it, ignites the gas on the parking lot. Flame goes all the way. It's like, everybody out of the bar, everybody out of the bar. Explodes
There's a massive explosion. Like, there's nothing that makes me happier than massive explosions in movies that do not warrant massive explosions.
What was in there?
Travolta's looking at his rearview mirror. He's like, oh God.
It's like a small mushroom cloud.
Did you say mushroom?
Like, you can't tell me people did not die.
He just committed a massive felony.
Yeah, people died. You
Bikes are exploding. The building blows up.
Yeah, I mean,
you see guys running from flames.
Yeah, people definitely died. Travolta committed numerous murders.
Yes.
At least manslaughters at best. Yeah.
You know what I realized this movie is?
What?
This is like Dad Avengers. That's what this movie is. It just clicked for me.
Dad Avengers.
This is like to like the average like comic or like superhero fan, like seeing like, oh, Iron Man's teaming up with the Hulk and Thor, and that's like exciting to them.
Yeah.
The idea of like Tim Allen's teaming up with Travolta, Macy, and Lawrence. They're gonna fight Ray Liotta. They're bikers. Like this is like, it's like the Avengers.
There's another movie like this. It's much darker though, with Stallone and
Expendables.
Schwarzenegger and
Expendables.
Yeah. Where I mean, but it's kind of the same thing. All these old kind of on the downward spiral.
Bringing them all back.
Yeah, to save the world from something.
They fight Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Who was older than all of them, probably.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
Still got the moves.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. So they're at a gas station, and Woody has seen the explosion, so they're all getting gas. It's like, what are you guys doing stopping here? Like, we gotta get out. We gotta go. It's like wild and free. It's like, we gotta cleanse our souls. Like, my soul needs a drink of water. It's like, my soul needs some gas. It's like, we'll get gas at the next station. So it's like, let's go. We're out and free.
And then he zip down the road.
He's like, did I miss the espresso stop? And so then they all like, okay, I guess, and they all drive away, and it's perfectly shot. I love the way they shot this.
This is a very good shot.
Yeah,
because right as they pull away,
the camera pans, follows them as they drive away on the right, and we see a truck. And the truck pulls away, and we see the billboard that says "Last gas for 200 miles."
That was blocked from their view by the truck.
Which I'm always imagining as an AD of like cueing things. Yeah. And do you know like that there's a background person in that truck with a walkie who sees all four actors, and he's just like waiting in the truck. And so then like on action, and then they get in the motorcycles and they all go away. Might have been their stunt doubles, I don't know. And then the AD is like, all right, truck. And then the truck pulls away. Like just organizing the whole thing. I find it very interesting.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of that in every shot.
Oh yeah, lots of it in every shot. But yeah, last stop for 200 miles, and then cut to the middle of the desert. They're on the road, and it's like, Woody, you're an asshole. They should have had a sign that said last gas for X amount of miles. And then he's like, hey, like, you know, like I feel like I'm drinking a great drink of water with my spit, and I just swallow it. It just tastes like spit. And then Bobby's like, aren't we supposed to? I heard you could drink something out of cactuses. And it's like, where are the goddamn cactuses?
And we're in the desert with no cacti.
Well, and then Dudley's like, I think in the English dictionary for plural, it's cacti. And Bobby's like, I'm going to kill him. It's like, no, you're not going to kill him. It's like, listen, we're all thinking it anyway. Dudley's going to put up the least amount of fight. He's like, and Doug's like, all right, move out of the way. And then Woody steps in. He's like, no, we love Dudley. It's like, you're right, man. I'm sorry, dude. He's like, dehydration. Your heart's working extra to pump some blood, and not a lot of it's getting to your head, and it's causing some hallucinations. And then Travolta's like, all right, I'm killing him. And then Doug says, "Wait, guys!" And he looks and sees at the Mirage the
sign.
billboard that says Madrid,
1 mile.
which they pronounce Madrid.
Madrid.
It's Madrid. It's not Madrid. It's Madrid.
Yeah, the American pronunciation. Madrid.
It's called Madrid.
So they go to Madrid, where the gas station does not open until the next day, inconveniently.
Yeah, it's like Doc Hollywood kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't leave.
Yeah.
You can't escape.
So they show up, and then there's a diner over here that's open. So they run to the diner. It's like, we need water. We need water now. They like ransack the place and like, get a bunch of pitchers of water. And
all the residents in the bar are like shaking.
yeah, they're all like
They're
nervous
Take
about
whatever
something.
you want.
And there's like, hey, can I help you? Who is the waitress?
Marissa Tomei.
Marissa Tomei.
Yeah.
Aunt May from the new Spiderman movies.
Also of so many other movies.
Oh, yeah.
Right. My cousin Vinny, right?
Like, yeah, my cousin Vinny.
Yeah.
She's the
My
best.
biological clock is ticking.
So
Apparently it was in this movie too, because she really liked Dudley.
yeah, she did. So, but yeah, she talks to the Wild Hogs and like, can I get you fellas something? It's like, well, is there a booth open? And then like some like people like scram out of the booth. They're like, oh, nice town.
Like, we feel like everyone's treating us weirdly.
Yeah, so they all sit down and then
the sheriff
comes in.
Played by Stephen Tobolowsky,
Yeah,
one of America's great character actors.
amazing.
He was good.
He walks in. He's like, you Del Fuegos, you guys can't just like come in here. It's like, oh, no. We're not associated with those assholes. Like, oh, you're not? And he turns around. It's like, folks, they're not with Del Fuegos. And everybody like, oh,
Okay, we can chill out now.
Great. So,
Yeah, it was not the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah.
It was really Glenda, the good witch.
yeah.
instead.
So then, and the Del Fuego's like a nuisance around here. It's like, oh, I mean, only if you ever, expect them to pay for a drink or food or whatever. So we get some expositional bits about Del Fuegos and about the town. They're like, oh, what are you guys doing here? It's like, well, we're just like passing through, man, just passing through. And he's like, when's the gas station open? It's like, tomorrow morning. It's like, but you guys should stay for the chili festival.
Yeah.
It's like, last year, one chili was really hot. Someone's throat actually started to bleed.
Yeah. And Travolta's like, we should just lay low tonight.
Yeah.
And they're all like, no, let's go to the chili fest. And Travolta's like, we should lay low.
He's like, I just want to ride.
And is it right about here when they go back to the Del Fuegos and Ray is
their extra boys
coordinating
show
the,
up.
the search, right? And he's sending off the
hunters.
Yeah.
in pairs of two to find these
And
assholes.
Biker Billy's like, well, but my calculations, I think of like likelihood of that. Bam! And punches him. It's like, anybody else want to tell me how hard it's going to be to find these guys?
yeah.
They find them pretty easy, all things
do.
considered.
They do
They're
find
literally
them
in
pretty
the
easy.
next town.
Yeah, I mean, considering that they ran out of gas, they probably
Yeah.
didn't get very far. So that's plausible. So,
Yeah, New Mexico's sparsely populated. There
Yeah.
wouldn't have been a lot
do you
of
live in New
choices.
Mexico, Dad?
I did.
Yeah.
Taos.
Nice.
Yeah, Taos, New Mexico.
Taos, New Mexico. What's
Yeah.
that close by?
Pretty much everything. Colorado, Utah. It's a ski resort area. It's up in the northeast corner. of New
Northeast
Mexico.
corner. Okay, cool.
And I
Close
lived
to
in
state
Los
lines.
Alamos, the birthplace of the atomic bomb. So
Copy that.
that gives me my glowing personality.
Recognize any
that
of
was
the
good.
Recognize any of the locations around here, and like there's the landscape or anything like that.
The landscapes. I love the desert and the mountain scenery. It's beautiful country. But I had never been to Madrid, which I think is probably a real town. I'm guessing that's a real town.
Oh, it's a real town.
It's a real. Is it actually called Madrid?
I don't know if
That's-
it's called Madrid,
That's the question. I don't know.
but there is a real town with an actual Maggie's Diner.
And a chili festival all together.
Oh, I don't know if there's a chili festival, but there is a Maggie's Diner, and it's actually not a diner. It's a gift shop for wild hogs.
Okay, it's actually called Madrid,
Yeah.
and there's actual Maggie's Diner. It's next to Cowgirl Red Collectible Store and Moonbow Herb Shop.
Well, yeah.
Across the street from Ghost Town Trading Post.
They only sell one herb there, but anyway.
Rock Paper Gallery.
Yeah.
Anyway, Taos was an ancient Indian settlement that became a ski resort area. So it's got a lot of It's just north of Santa Fe.
Yeah.
I love New Mexico.
Cool. So I think the next thing we get is a chili festival. I've not really been using my notes here.
I think you're white. Why don't you gather yourself?
Oh, restroom break.
Restroom break for the old dad.
All right, but actually, while you do that, no, you go ahead and go.
Okay.
I think it's a good time to talk about the hair.
Oh, we want to do the hair ranking?
Yeah, let's do the hair ranking while my dad does 10-1.
Yeah. Cue the music.
Cue the music for the hair ranking now. Welcome to the hair ranking. This is gonna go pretty low.
Whoa.
Only because, to be quite honest, you don't see much of Travolta's hair in this. So I think it's gonna go in the urban cowboy realm.
Urban cowboy round.
Put it below Urban Cowboy, above Eyes of an Angel.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right. It is the new 39.
39. I mean, we just don't see his hair that much in this movie. He's always wearing the
Do-rag.
do-rag over his head. So like we don't.
So it's a ranking of omission rather than of quality.
Yeah, basically, unfortunately. I mean, there's some scenes where we get to see his hair, but it's like whenever we do see his hair, it's regular Travolta hair.
Yeah.
So nothing really special about it, unfortunately. But we can talk about the patrol. What John C.
McGinley's hair?
McGinley's hair.
Luscious. He's got the curls.
Luscious. The curl, the floof, the layover. Oh my God. It's so to die for. It's to die for. So, yeah.
Look at this. I'm bringing up a picture of John C. McGinley's hair in this movie.
Oh my God.
Okay, he actually doesn't have the curls in this that he has in Scrubs, but his hair does look great.
It's phenomenal. It's really good hair. Thank you, whoever set that up. You did a great job with John C. McGinley's hair. It looks good. It looks really good.
There he is.
Oh my God, the part. Oh, the part. You guys got to Google this.
Yeah, if you
Folks at home. Google
John C. McGinley, Wild
Hogs.
Hogs. Look at this hair. He does kind of have the curl. Oh, no, that's a different movie. This is a picture of him from
Are we done yet?
He basically plays the same character. He's just nude in that one too.
I don't know if he's nude in that one.
He certainly is nude in this picture from it.
I think there's like one scene where they go kayaking or something.
Okay.
So he might be wearing a swimsuit of some kind. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Anyway, that's
John C. McGinley's pretty fearless too.
yeah.
Yeah, just based on my experience of things that I've seen. So, welcome back, Dad.
Thank you.
Shall we cue the outro hair ranking music?
There is no outro ranking hair music. We just kind of.
I thought there was.
No, there's never been outro hair ranking music.
Interesting.
Yeah, sorry.
All right.
I guess if I couldn't watch an hour and 50-minute movie without getting up a couple times, the idea of talking about it for 2 hours was probably not really feasible.
Yeah, it's all good. All good. Yeah, you got to flip those suckers.
How did I do that?
Yep. There you go. You got it now.
I can hear.
Oh, sweet. So, yeah, I think after the Del Fuego's planning thing, then we are back at the Chili Festival,
Marissa
right?
Tomei convinces Dudley to go to the Chili Festival, and the rest of them just kind of go along with it.
Yes.
And we get a performer at this Chili Festival. We keep cutting back to inexplicably for some reason.
I know, but he adds so much flavor to this movie.
It's
I don't know what flavor.
No, he's just so
strange.
he is so strange and confident. He is very confident.
Yeah.
But when did Dudley start thinking about the Marissa Tomei character when Maggie? When he's because
Well, right away.
before the festival, he gets Woody to teach him how to
Dance. Oh, we get a John Travolta dancing scene.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Always.
That's probably part of his base contract.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
absolutely.
They're casually just like,
Absolutely.
he's like, I need to dance. And Charles like, fine, I'll show you some moves. And he just like casually does great moves. It's like, yeah, it's John Travolta. Of course he's going to.
Of course.
Of course he wants to flex that he can dance.
Yeah. So,
I do want to say that, do you know who the singer, the performer is?
no.
Kyle, played by Kyle Gass, who just like does soft-spoken renditions of like country songs.
No.
It's one of the guys from Tenacious D, Kyle Gass. So it's like Jack Black's musical comedy partner.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they put him in there only to stand up there and just like, I can't even remember what song she's performing. It's like,
Don't you wish your girlfriend was
Hot like me.
yeah, he's just like kind of softly stating it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but his physical comedy.
Yeah,
you know,
it's very
he's-
good.
Yeah, he's shaking his booty and looking at the women.
He's exactly the type of like performer you'd expect to like
He's
find
like the
at some-
wedding singer for like a really
Yeah.
bad wedding reception.
a terrible wedding where they're like,
Right,
this guy's
right.
cheap. I'm sure he's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Newsflash is not great.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, then it's the chili festival, and we get a couple bits here. The first bit I think is the Bobby Doug bullseye bit, where he tosses a ball and he's like, "Yeah, I've been they call me Bullseye Bobby. I never missed a pitch and so many 400 innings or something." And so he like, "Bullseye Bobby, here we go." He completely misses. He's like, "Well, that's been like what, 28 years, Bullseye." So then at one point there's a crotch shot. which
Right.
We
He
love.
hits Doug in the crotch.
We love groin humor.
Groin humor.
Yeah. So
But, okay. When
What?
was the bull slapping?
that's later. Yeah.
is
The next
does,
morning,
it does
right?
happen. What?
That's the next morning, right?
Yeah.
Because they stay up all night at this festival.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I jumped ahead.
Yeah. So then there's the bit with Dudley and Marissa Tomei.
Yeah.
And the chili. And so he's like, "Oh,
love
like
chili.
you like chili?" It's like, "I love chili." It's like, "Well, you like spicy stuff?" It's like, "Oh no, I'm more of like a mild thing." It's like, "Oh, it's too bad because I was having
You give me a nice turkey chili.
nice turkey chili."
Yeah.
Oh, you bet I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, it's a shame." So I was hoping you're gonna try my chili, but it's pretty hot. It's like, "Oh, I like your kind of chili. You're
I like your kind of hot.
I like
Yeah,
your
I
kind of
like your
hot
kinda
or
hot.
chili. You're that chili. That's the chili I want to kiss. Eat."
Again,
HBC.
A lot more innuendo.
Oh,
there.
my
Such
God.
good comedic time.
He's so good. He knew the assignment. He knew the assignment. Yeah. So then he takes a bite of the chili, and of course he is losing his mind, and he's like, "Do you need some water or toast?" And he's like, "It's okay if you need to go." It's like,
He runs off.
then he runs away. He's
And
like,
she says, your throat won't really bleed.
"Yeah."
Travolta basically spends this whole scene just like fretting in a corner, like biting his knuckles.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which
Yeah.
he does. Travolta is very good at like fretting. He's very good at being afraid.
Yeah.
Which are some of his like better performances in movies are him being afraid. Like Blowout is pretty much just him fretting for the entire movie.
Yeah.
Even in Pulp Fiction or whatever, when he's just like, "Oh
With
god,"
Mia.
yeah, with Mia, where he's like, "Oh god," like he's really good at playing up like a hilarious anxiety
Yeah.
that a character's trapped in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think so, yeah.
And his anxiety is not unproven when
The
two Del
Del
Fuegos show
Fuegos
up. Billy and some other guy.
Yeah. I don't know those other guys. But they call Ray and they're like, "Hey, they're in Madrid."
But they have to steal a cell phone to do it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I thought was a good bit.
Yeah, they have to steal as a good dude's cell phone to do it. And they see the two, and then Bobby, Doug, and Travolta, they all see the Del Fuegos guys. And they're like, "Hey, you want us to rough them up?" It's like, no, don't touch them. Just make sure they stay there. I want their bones to break under my hands.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So then Bobby goes up like, no, Woody, you went up and told them last time. Now it's time for Bobby.
Yeah.
So then Bobby goes up. He's like, does him the whole speech of like, "You touch us, we're gonna sue you for everything you have and everything you're gonna have."
And
then
he thinks it's working
he thinks it's working, so he kicks
because the two
one.
guys were told they're not allowed to harm them.
Yeah, so he kicks one of them in the groin, and then he takes a bunch of condiments and then just squirts them on the guy,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh!"
He really just does them up.
Yeah,
It's like
really-
we look like a couple little hot dogs.
Yeah. And then he walks away all proud of himself.
Right.
So, then I think it's Slap the Bull.
No, we got the dance scene, but
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
because that's
Dudley-
when the Dudley and
yeah, Marissa
talks
but-
to Travolta and Tim Allen. He's like, "Hey, waitress likes me." It's like, "That's great, man." It's like, "Yeah, but she wants me to dance." It's like, "Go dance there." It's like, "I can't go on the dance floor." Get a little weird. He's like, "Well, I can show you some moves." And then we get the famous John Travolta and William H. Macy teach him how to dance.
Yeah.
Of course, it's amazing. And then Dudley goes on the dance floor. Favorite intro ever, because he has like the breakaway glasses.
Yeah, so cool.
He walks up to Marissa Tomei and just breaks away his glasses, puts him down, and then gets her to dance. And for a while, it's good. It's good dancing. They're doing pretty well, and she's into it. He's into it. But at one point, I think he slips up and lets her go, and like they bump into some people.
And
then the boys are all watching this. And they're like, "Oh god, he's panicking," and he resorts to the sprinkler move.
That was great.
Yeah.
Which he apparently is famous for, because that was mentioned earlier.
Yeah, the sprinkler move.
But he recovers.
He recovers.
That's a successful dance.
Yeah.
And then we basically cut to the next morning, right? Because Kyle Gass is still performing like when they come up the next morning.
Yes.
This man's been going for like 12 straight hours up there, seemingly.
I think he's still there to this day.
Yeah, Kyle Gass is still up there going,
Singing.
"Don't you wish your girlfriend was hot like me?"
Yeah, all the time. So slap the bull.
Yeah, the cops are like, we got an activity for you.
It's like, what are you guys out here doing this trip for? And they're like, oh, finding myself, conquering fear. It's like, well, if you want to conquer fear, there's only one way to do it here in this town. That's a game we call Slap the Bull. Like, oh, okay. And so he's like, oh, yeah, I'll do a little bull slap. Let's do some bull slap here. Cut to, they're in a bull ring. So we're really going to slap a bull. And Bobby's like, I thought this was a drinking game, man. It's like, no, I just like, oh, you guys wanted to do this. Like, I just didn't realize that we'd actually be slapping a bull. So then Woody is Woody's the one who goes first. So he steps up, he creeps up to the bull. The bull's just like docile, just chilling, and he slaps it on the ass, hightails out. Bull doesn't react, gets out to the other side. They're like, good, did it. So then they're all looking at Tim Allen, Doug, and he's like, Doug, you got to get in there and do it, man. So then Doug steps in. And they're like, oh, man, thanks for bringing us out here, dude. And he's like, oh, yeah, we never seen it done a second time. Yeah, it's usually a little bit dangerous now that the bull's alert. Alert. Slaps the bull. Bull immediately turns around and just nails Doug into the air. Yeah, that was a good physical comedy bit because they all get in the ring and they all kind of...
Yeah, Bobby gets the same treatment, I think. He gets in there.
This is a sentient bull, by the way.
Because the bull escapes the pen and...
On its own accord.
Oh, that's right.
On its own accord. Because like they lock up the gate and it's like a cutaway insert of like a horn knocking over a gate thing.
Well, what happens is we cut away to a separate location where Dr. Alan Grant is inexplicably in this movie, and he says, as long as they haven't figured out how to open the doors yet. And then we cut to the doorknob, and you just start hearing John Williams start playing as the doorknob starts turning. The bull walks in the... No.
Wow, you just lost me there for a second.
Ellie,
okay, I'm
the
with you
door
now.
locks. The door locks. And then the raptor's right there. The bull's right there.
You can't hold it by yourself.
It's a Unix system.
I know.
I wonder if we've seen Jurassic Park too many times.
Can you see it too many times?
I don't think so.
But one thing that we skipped, which I really liked, because you referenced all the gay humor that probably we wouldn't see in a 2021 remake of Wild Hogs. But the interaction between Buck and Earl, the two deputies.
Yeah.
Because Earl's got
both ears.
One of them has both ears. Buck has both ears.
Buck has one ear.
Okay.
Earl has both ears.
And he's always cracking on the dude because he can't hear out of that ear. So he's always standing on that side because that leads to a kind of a funny thing towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, right.
A good dynamic.
But then it's kind of like the gay humor. I mean, he's picking on his whatever happened, this physically...
Disability.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Which may not show up in a modern film today.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Walt Becker took some chances.
He sure did.
Took some chances
or
on
he
old
thought
dogs.
he needed those. Yeah. Well, we better throw some of this in here just in case.
Walt Becker's like, what if we did everything?
That's true. That's exactly right.
I mean, Walt Becker...
Dudley does say it's like, I was going to resort to telling her black jokes. And Bobby's like, which ones? It's like, oh, I don't remember.
Exactly. I'd forgotten that bit too, because there's some of that racial humor as well in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, Walt Becker has a fan base. and a reputation as kind of like a provocateur. He has said his idol is John Waters. And put him in an Alvin and the Chipmunks movie, which is very strange.
But he did it.
So he's out here trying to provoke a rise out of the audience.
Yeah. Oh, man. Just an R-rated Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. What if?
Alvin!
Well, when you think about it, I mean, the Dudley-Maggie relationship, that's almost like High Plains Drifter kind of a thing. You know, I mean, there's no rape scene in it, obviously, but, I mean, it's just kind of weird that this guy rolls into town and she's immediately in love with him.
Yeah. Movie magic.
It is movie magic. That's right. Lucky Dudley.
Yeah.
Man, he goes from 0 to 100.
0 to hero.
Yeah, exactly right.
And so, after Bull Slap, I think it's like they're about to leave. And, like, Travolta's obviously eager to get out.
Right.
And so he's like, oh, no, guys, we got to go. We got to get out of here. He's like, oh, we want to stay for breakfast or whatever. It's like, why do you want to get out so bad? And then we hear the motorcycles. And that's when all the Del Fuegos come in.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, shit. He's like, I thought we dealt with this, guys. And that's when Woody tells, like, they hide in, like, a corner. And he tells them all the...
He casually reveals, he's like, I snipped a few gas lines. And there might have been an explosion.
You blew up their barn. I might have blown up their barn. Oh, no. So, wait a minute. They're not here. They're here
to kill
us. This is great. So then they take refuge. So then the Del Fuegos then go to the diner. And they're like, Wild Hogs. It's like, you got 30 minutes or we're going to destroy this diner or whatever. So then they're all taking shelter in Maggie's home. And Dudley, checks in with Maggie, and she's like, that diner is the only thing I ever had. If that gets destroyed, right. So then, they're all talking about like, just wait in here, wait it out, and that's when we get the cop bit too.
Yeah,
or the sheriff, where he's like, aren't you supposed to do something in this? It's like,
the bit is good because they're all hiding out in Maggie's house, and it's the 3 wild hogs, the exception Travolta, who they said is not allowed inside.
Yeah, he's exiled.
And so you think it's just the hogs hanging out in there, and then you just hear a voice, and the camera flips to the other side, and the cops are hiding out in the house
are
as
hiding
well.
out there too.
Right. And I got my credentials on the internet or something.
Yeah, on eBay. when
He's like, I took an online course. The shooting.
For weapons trading, they told us to play Dune.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah, and then they're all like, yeah, we'll just hide it here, wait it out. And then they're like, wait, where's Dudley?
Yeah.
And then cut to Dudley walking up to the diner with a tire iron. Yeah. And then my favorite bit, he opens the door and he's like, all right, you Del Fuego. And then the door closes on his head.
And you can't hear him.
Classic.
Great bit. And he opens the door again and he steps inside. It's like, hey! It's like, this diner belongs to the love of my life. So if we're going to get nasty, let's get crazy. He swings it back, slips out of his hands, shatters the door.
Yeah.
And they're all laughing at him. He's like, you guys don't mind if I tell them you did that, right? So then they tie him up, and then they're like, Wild Hogs, we have your friend here. And they have him tied up. And he's like, and if you don't show up in like the next like 5 minutes, I'm going to break his legs. And then Dudley's like, it's the money. So he said, you're going to pay $40 million.
40,000.
It's $10,000 for the friend, and then $40,000 to rebuild the bar.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's like,
Pretty good deal,
bring them
Yeah, it's not terrible.
to build back the bar for $40,000. Like, I think it's gonna take that bar was pretty big, right? I mean, like,
it was sizable.
yeah. Considering like how much the damage it was, you're gonna have to tear it all back down and build it up from the foundation up. I'm sure there's like probably some depreciation of the value in the land or whatever. If there's any extra electrical problems, that's definitely gonna be more than $40,000.
Definitely.
These bikers aren't doing their math right. Yeah. So, I mean, like Doug, the dentist, could like pay that off pretty easly, right? I feel like he's got 50K.
They could pull together the money.
I feel like 50K. He's got 50K stashed somewhere.
But they say, we're not going to pay.
Right. Well, then he says, if you don't bring the money, I'm going to break his legs. And then Dudley's like, don't bring the money. I'm a computer programmer. I don't need my legs. And then Ray Little's like, fine. I'll break his hands.
And Dudley's like, Dudley's like, all right, shit. Yeah, bring the money.
Bring the money. Bring the money.
But our heroes, the Hogs,
yes,
they're not going to back down.
No.
They're going to fight.
So
Enter the Golden Knight.
yeah, so they form this plan where they're like, I need to get 30 miles an hour so I can snag that duct tape. And he's like, so you guys, we're gonna like clear the pathway for me while I go up and grab Dud. And hey, before we go, I need someone to shout, "It's the Golden Knight."
Yeah. And
Well,
Travolta's
it was
just
so
kind of
great.
haphazardly. He's like, "It's the Golden Knight!" over his shoulder.
Holy crap, it's the Golden Knight. And then they veer off, and then it's this intense dramatic moment. All the bikes are going up, they're chasing the Del Fuegos out of the way, and then Tim Allen gets up on his bike, grabs Dudley, but the rope doesn't break.
And is zipped off his bike and just sways in the wind.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, what do we do now? It's like, the rope was supposed to break.
And then I think it did.
Yeah, it breaks
Almost
eventually.
immediately after.
Yeah, breaks after and they fall to the ground.
So then they're all cornered by the Del Fuegos, and they're like, all right, burn down the diner. And he's like, all right, you know what? We're going to settle this like men.
I think that's when Woody finally steps up.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he's responsible, right?
Yeah. So then they all decide, we're going to fight. Tim Allen, he says it exactly. He's like, we're going to stand here and fight.
Which is very funny to hear Tim Allen say.
I love that.
Like, you don't expect Tim Allen to be at the end of your movie back. We're going to fight him. And then, I expected this to be like, throw a few punches. I was not expecting like a prolonged action sequence.
Yeah.
Because this is a real slugging match.
It is. So like Tim Allen fights Ray Liotta.
Yeah.
John Travolta fights some dude.
Yeah. And the music gets pretty dramatic. Like, it's going like Hollywood blockbusters, like, dur, 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 dur. I'm expecting like a choir to break in the back.
Right.
I'm like, "Ah!"
What a good bit was like, so Dudley's still tied up at this point.
Yes.
He's like, guys, do you have a pocket knife or something? Like, get me
Right.
out. So then Dudley and Bobby are sitting side by side, and across them is Billy and this smaller Asian guy. He's
Right.
all close. He's like, I'll take the big guys. And they turn around. Dudley's against like the Asian guy. And a stereotype trope for the time. This movie is definitely of its time.
he rips open his shirt and he
Right.
knows kung fu.
And he knows kung fu.
Right. He's got
gets
like a
the whole,
12-pack. Not a
12-pack.
6-pack.
And so he's like, switch back. So then the fight begins.
I think the greatest example of that is one of the Transformers movies. I can't remember which one. I think it's the fourth one, where like they
Transformers
film
movie.
and they're in Hong Kong, and like the bad guy's chasing one of the characters, and like seemingly every single resident of Hong Kong knows martial
kung fu,
arts. Like
yeah.
the guy's like has her cornered in an elevator, and the elevator everyone's like, two guys get out, and they start using kung fu on the guy. Like another guy like jumps in and like shuriken kicks him or something. I'm like, what?
Good God.
They don't all know this.
No.
Like, this is a bold assumption.
So the fight begins, and they get their asses kicked at first, but then there's a sliver of moment where they actually kind of kick ass back.
Yep.
Like Travolta gets a few punches off. Tim Allen gets a few punches off. They're all like making some punches, but then at the end, they're all
Pretty much whooped.
They're pretty much whooped.
Yeah.
So then once again, it's like burn down the diner, and then like no, like this is my fault. This is Woody, and he's like taking responsibility for it.
Yep.
So, and right as they're about to do it, then the town comes in.
Yeah. The town comes first, right? With the bats
Yeah.
and the rakes.
So they all come
It's
in.
like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
A pitchfork.
Right, yeah.
This is like the ending of like the Spider-Man movie where New York's like, you mess with one of us, you mess with all, and start throwing cabbages at the Green Goblin.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, essentially what you said, Jeff, is like the Spider-Man thing. So the whole town shows up. It's like, well, then we'll fight the whole town then. And then boots on the ground.
A bike turns off. Who shows up?
Unbelievable.
Peter Fonda.
Peter Fonda.
Right out of Easy Rider.
Where did they dig him up? I mean, where had he been? I mean,
Cryogenic sleep or something. But yeah, Damian Blade, the guy who was mentioned earlier in the film by the Del Fuegos, shows up and kind of gives a talking to with the Del Fuegos about like, this is not
biker culture.
This is not biker culture. Which I mean, Tim Allen gave sort of the whole spiel about it before. But it's like, I used to want to be like you guys,
Yeah.
and I just realized you're all just like children, basically. And he's like,
Peter Fonda shows up at the gold standard of the biker.
yeah.
no collars. He makes a point.
Yeah.
It's
why I
like,
don't
you ever
wear
wonder
the-
why I ride alone? Because I don't believe what we stand up for anymore. Like all that stuff.
He comes from he's literally from Easy, but he comes from like the Easy Rider day of like the bikers just like a symbol of freedom. Just, you're not moored anywhere. You just kind of float around. It's not about being better than anyone else or being intimidating. It's just about living a free life.
Yeah, maybe selling some heroin. But
Yeah, a little bit of that.
A little heroin in there, but
A little bit of heroin here and there.
Tim Allen's like, wait, we're a drug deal? Peddling again? Tim Allen's like, I still got a few contacts. If you guys are looking.
Wild Hogs 2.
I was almost in Blow, but
Wild Hogs too. Doug's the crimes of Doug. The cover's just Tim Allen on a motorcycle with a beard, like gun pointed behind him, chased by the DEA.
oh, we skipped the phone call, right? Doug calling his wife.
Yeah, we skipped that.
Wow. It's skippable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. That was kind of weird.
In short, Doug has a phone call with his wife, and his wife's like, "Oh, I'm with Karen, Bobby's wife, and she's excited to hear about the trip. Don't tell her about the road trip that happened like 15 minutes ago.
Yeah,
not
right.
important.
Right.
So yeah, after the fight, then the Del Fuego's back down. Happy ending. Town is
Peter
saved.
Fonda convinces Ray Liotta to go reevaluate his life.
Yeah.
Go home
well,
and rethink
because he's his dad.
he's his dad.
Yeah.
And they've been reunited. He's disappointed in what his son and bikers have become. And Tim Allen and his ilk are more in line with what he believes biker culture is, just guys trying to find some freedom, find some
That's right.
some adventure in
They
their
were the
lives.
real bikers, it
Yeah,
turns
all
out.
along.
So stupid.
There's no place like home. Click, click.
So then, they're celebrating. It's a happy ending, and then the wives show up.
Yes.
Which we
Just
should.
two. I mean, no, there's only two in the equation.
Yeah, it's just because only two of them are married.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
It's Doug and Bobby's wife, which I think we said this before the podcast, but like, how they get there so fast?
Like they're in like a
Cincinnati.
Chrysler minivan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They just. I mean, like I've driven from Illinois to Colorado overnight. It's about 18 hours from like Cleveland, Ohio,
No, they were in Cincinnati, right?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Wait,
to-
let me clock this.
Let's clock this.
I'm clocking it right now.
What is it?
I'm going to
Cin-
go 20 hours.
I'm looking because Maggie's Diner is on Google Maps. Cincinnati, Ohio to Maggie's Diner is it's a 20-hour, 16-minute drive, which means they left
Nice.
immediately after the phone conversation.
They had to.
Which was the evening before, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's no way.
So like, they
could
drove through the night, or they booked a flight and got a rental car, which I don't think is.
They had to reserve that minivan if
Yeah.
you did that. I mean, you just don't get a minivan
Out of nowhere.
in Albuquerque, since Kirky.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's exactly what happened. Is
Sure.
they're like, we're gonna drive from Cincinnati to Madrid, and then they realize, wait, this is just Albuquerque. They just drove the 30 minutes
Yeah,
north.
it's like 25 minutes. No
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
They
So
broke the fourth wall and escaped from Cincinnati to Albuquerque.
out of the movie set. So Bobby makes amends with his wife and like kind of gains the courage to like tell her, "Hey, chill out, girl."
Quit talking at me, he says.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And then Doug is able to like impress his son with the fight thing.
Was he there?
Yeah, his son was. That was like sort of the consummation of their. So like all four of them had like their. Well, would you say Woody ever had his like full arc? Because like Doug's arc was to impress his son. Dudley's arc was to like talk to a girl, fall in love, which he did. Bobby's arc was to like stand up to his wife.
Yeah.
Become a man.
Yeah. Woody's arc is like what?
Wait a second.
What?
You're listing out these arcs, and Don, something you said. Is this the Wizard of Oz?
Yeah. I made a couple references and I thought,
Did
well,
one of them get their courage?
yeah,
One of them got a brain,
and a heart.
and one of them got a heart.
And what?
Because Dudley got a heart because he found love.
Maybe Woody clicks his heels and goes back to.
Doug got a brain.
Doug got a brain.
Like he finally like had his place in life. Wait, no, Doug would be Dorothy because he gets to go home. Woody got a brain because he gets perspective, and then Bobby gets courage, and then Doug is Dorothy because he gets to go home to his daughter his son who now is impressed by him.
And Damon is Glenda the Good Witch.
I guess Peter Fonda's Glinda the Good Witch. Wait, this,
I
this
mean,
is this making sense to you as
It
well?
does to
It
me.
is making
Like,
sense,
this-
but I hate it.
Did I just realize that Wild Hogs was the Wizard of Oz?
No wonder Disney agreed to make this film.
Wizard of Oz, but middle-aged bikers.
Because they were following the yellow brick road, really.
Yeah, they essentially-
66, they were going to the coast.
Yeah,
right?
they followed the Yellow Brick Road to the West Coast. Oh my God.
Wow.
I hate this. I hate this so much. All right, so then the trip continues.
Stuart wants to get out of this
They
conversation.
make it to California, and then there's the final gag where they're going through, like, Venice Beach. They see a bunch of hot girls wearing swimsuits. Dudley gets off course, but he stays on his bike. And they're like, hey, good job, Ricky, good job. And then all three of them get hit by a surfboard,
Yeah.
and the movie's
Yeah.
over.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not over.
No, it wasn't over. We thought it was
We
over.
go to credits, and then there's a little TV screen that appears on the side next to the credits. And Stuart, what does it play?
Did you remember that when you watched this movie?
Yes, I did.
I did not remember that. And then there it was.
The thing on the TV screen is an Extreme Makeover Home Edition for the Del Fuego Bar in New Mexico. And it's set exactly like an Extreme Home Makeover commercial, like a show. And, they do the whole move that bus. And then, talk about dated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because really, Extreme Makeover was much later when it came. It was not in 2007, was it?
I don't know. I think it was around the same time.
Maybe it was.
Because they've changed the name of the show, to different things now. House
Subpar
flipping.
home makeover.
Yeah, subpar.
One more
Acceptable.
reformed drug addict doing well.
It went from extraordinary homemaker to average home makeover. They're like, it's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be all right.
It's better than what you got now, but
Slightly better.
it's gonna be less drafty. We can promise you that.
Yeah, I do think this bit is pretty funny though, because they do the whole move that bus thing, and the bikers all freak out. The brand new bar. It's like a 2-story bar with a giant sign that says Del Fuego's on it, and Ray Liotta has no reaction at all.
He's
and
just
the host is
flabbergasted.
normally we have strong reactions from the people we help, but Ray, he was just really just didn't really react. And it cuts to an interview of Ray's oh. It's crying and tearing up, basically. But yeah,
Then the movie actually.
then the
ends.
movie actually
Well,
ends.
it ends with all the Wild Hogs lifting a beer.
Oh yeah, because the Wild Hogs
sign
are
up.
watching this on their TV in Cincinnati.
Yeah. And they all cheers, and then the movie ends.
That's right. I remember that now.
Yeah. So that's the movie.
Yeah.
That is
Wild
Wild
Hogs.
Wild Hogs.
Yeah. So Jeff, how well did this movie do?
This movie actually did really well.
Yeah.
So this comes out. I'm a fool. I had X'd out of the page.
Normally he has a laptop with him with all this information.
I
But,
decided to just go.
we never told our audience that this is our first off-site recording episode.
Not our first.
Are we including the
Greece.
Greece?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is our second off-site recording. Our longest distance travel
Yes.
though for a recording episode.
Tell them we drove 3
All
hours today for this.
all for you.
For this episode.
All for you, Don.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Right. So this movie comes out March 2nd, 2007. It's a spring release, so it kind of has a monopoly on its weekend.
Yeah.
Right. Sure.
Because this is the time of the year where they don't release a lot of movies, especially not big blockbusters. So something that's able to stand out for a specific market usually does pretty well at this time. And this really appealed to males over 30 or whatever the specific qualification is that they use. Because it's 18 to 24 and then whatever beyond that.
Yeah.
But this movie makes $39.7 million in its opening weekend,
Whoa.
which almost is 2/3 of the budget. It's a $60 million budgeted movie.
60. I mean, that's the stars. That's the cast. Really.
Yeah, I mean that's mostly the paycheck.
Yeah.
But the trick this movie does is it has really strong holds every weekend.
Yeah.
Because the average movie drops 50% its next weekend. Like if you made $40 million the first, make 20 the next.
Yeah.
Is the general rule of thumb.
Right.
Good movies might make a little less. Bad movies probably drop a little more.
Yeah.
This movie only dropped 30% its second weekend.
Huh.
There wasn't much coming out around that time. It hit a specific niche that is the kind where they'll wait for the second weekend to go
Yeah.
see a movie. the like a rule of thumb is like younger moviegoers go opening weekend, older moviegoers will like stagger out through time.
Yeah.
And so this movie did really well every weekend, ended up making 168 million in the US, 253 worldwide.
What was the budget again?
Over a $60 million budget. So that's almost 4.5 times the budget.
Yeah.
Which is a huge success. Disney was very happy with this movie.
Yeah.
It was Travolta's first film since The General's Daughter to make over $100 million.
Wow.
So it had been 8 years since a success for him.
No way.
A financial success.
Wow.
For John Travolta.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
So this is basically the one that kind of he sees as his comeback vehicle, which is why he works with Becker again in Old Dogs coming up.
Now, it's great to hear that how well it did commercially. Critically, though.
Critically, this movie didn't do great. It basically got a lot of reviews. They're like, if you know what you're getting in for, there's some enjoyment to be had, but the movie's too like crass for the average critic or film goer.
Yeah.
Was the basic template, which I don't inherently disagree with, even though I did enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
Like I understand this is for a specific market.
Yeah.
And I think that market's very pleased with it.
Yeah. I would agree. Yeah.
Just good, wholesome fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You didn't have to think too hard.
Yeah.
It was nominated for a People's Choice Award for the category Favorite Movie Comedy. Oh, there's actually one thing I do want to talk about with this movie.
Okay.
This movie comes out. Disney is sued the week after it comes out by the Hells Angels, who believes that this movie
Defames their character?
just defames their character and uses their copyrighted logo within the film.
My gosh.
I did not know that.
The lawsuit is dismissed, but very quickly. But there was an attempt by the Hells Angels to have this production shut down due to defaming their character and using their copyrighted material.
Wow. That's crazy.
Big impact of this movie, though, is that Maggie's Diner, which was renovated for this film, still in operation today,
Yeah.
but not as a diner. It is a gift shop exclusively of Wild Hogs paraphernalia.
I'm bringing some home off this road trip.
I am going to. Jeff, when are we going?
To the audience at home, you might have a special episode dropping for you in a few months if we get the gusto for it, which I think we will.
We're going to get the gusto for it.
Road trip?
Road trip.
You folks might have a little special episode coming for you.
Yeah.
I said to Stuart, it's only funny if we drive there, only go to Maggie's Diner, and then come back.
Right.
If we do anything else on the trip, it's not funny anymore. Because now it's just like, we're doing this podcast thing on the trip. No, this needs to be like, we drive there, go in, buy a Wild Hogs t-shirt, get out. Come back. That's the only way it's funny.
I'm down. I'm game. Sign me up. Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I don't know how far I'll be from there. I bet I can swing through there somehow or another.
It's
Yeah.
about 25 minutes north of Albuquerque.
Okay.
Yeah.
So about halfway to... I just forgot the... Wow, that's crazy.
So, overall concluding thoughts.
I forgot. A sequel to this movie was planned, which we have to talk about, because it was not made.
Yeah.
But they were planning to make a sequel that was going to be called Wild Hogs 2 Bachelor Ride.
Oh, Dudley gets married.
The plan was that it would be released in 2010, and it would film in 2009. The problem was Old Dogs comes out, a movie we're going to talk about in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Old Dogs is a colossal flop that we talked about.
We'll talk about.
And that we will talk about. That's right. We definitely haven't recorded that episode already. That Disney cancels their next Travolta and Robin Williams vehicles they had planned because they don't know if they can continue keeping them in these expensive comedies if they're going to make money.
Yeah.
Because their plan was like right around this time, the new regime at Disney, because Bob Iger had just come in and whatnot, is they want to kind of have, the tentpole structure that they work with now, where it's like there's a Marvel movie, a Star Wars movie, an animated movie, a Pixar movie. They just kind of work with like a structure. They wanted to have like, a Disney comedy every year. And this was the beginning of that, getting into the Travolta business, getting into the Robin Williams business again with live action. And after Old Dogs doesn't work, that's the end of the Travolta experiment, and they stop working with Robin Williams as like a comedy leading man, which is sad.
Yeah.
But Travolta, he does his 3 Disney movies, and then he's donezo with them, and we talk about where he goes next when we get there in a few weeks.
It's not a good place.
But this
it's not a good place.
almost saved his career, and then Old Dogs once again buried it.
Commercially. Critically, it yeah.
Critically,
It had already been dead a while.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. So yeah, I guess in terms of just my overall thoughts, I mean, just remembering this movie as a kid, watching it again, I was reminded of a lot of things that I remember finding funny. Some bits I did continue to find funny. Some bits I thought, well, that's a little dated. But it was a good revisitation of it because I think I appreciate what this movie does in the sense of bringing 4 very likable actors together to do nothing but be likable and goofy with each other, particularly with Tim Allen, Travolta, William H. Macy, and Lawrence. I mean, just all 4 of them. All very likable personalities. And to bring them all 4 into one movie as like a bunch of biker dads is... I don't know what else you could do to make it to bank on that even more.
Yeah,
because it's just they play very well with their chemistry, and that's really all you're really getting in for in this movie. It's just to watch 4 lovable, likable, goofy guys have good chemistry on a road trip together.
That's the movie.
And I think your point early on is that people would see a trailer or whatever, and you go, oh, and then you see who's in it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, I might go. I like that guy, or I like that guy. Or he's funny.
I like some of those guys. They seem like they got chemistry. That looks like something I could watch.
Yeah.
So
It was.
I realized when I watched it just the other night that I've definitely passed that point in my life where I'm like, uncomfortable mid-40s or whatever those guys were.
Yeah.
But we all of us get there at some point in time.
Yeah.
And kind of reflect, especially married with children, the guys that were married and had kids, because your life, just totally changes then because now you're no longer the focus of the universe. Up to that point, you think you are the center of the universe, but then you have children and you realize, no, you're not really.
Yeah.
This was your job. You did it. Get out of the way.
Yeah.
And that's why those guys, certainly Doug felt that way. He had no more meaning. It was about his kid. And
they only had this trip to reflect and kind of find new meaning.
Yeah. Right, and to rediscover themselves.
And they get back to Kansas.
Yes, they do.
Don't look at me like that, Jeff. Stop it.
I'm just saying.
I get it. It's a Wizard of Oz thing. Okay.
Look, it's just very funny to me that this movie about 4 middle-aged bikers starring Tim Allen and John Travolta is a Wizard of Oz riff.
The Cowardly Lion, the Tin Man.
Yeah. Yeah,
Woody has
it
to
matches up so perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've ruined the film.
And if you want to really get into it, Woody is a scarecrow made of straw and wood.
Hence the name.
I think
I hate that you're laughing
I think
at
he's
this.
going to kill me if I keep this going.
Yeah. I think you should wrap it up, Jeff.
Well, thank you, folks, for listening to another episode of Rolling Don. Thank you so much for joining us this week.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
This was a good time. Make sure to tune in next week for our episode on Hairspray. Next week is Hairspray.
No way. Hairspray.
I believe next week is Hairspray.
Wow.
I'm going to confirm this right now.
That is a
yes.
big,
Next week,
big...
folks, join us for Hairspray, where we get to meet Edna Turnblad. It's gonna be a good time.
Dad's making a face.
Yeah, we're talking to cross-dressing John Travolta, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I may watch that just for the fun of it, and then tune in to the
good
podcast.
movie. It's got Christopher Walken in it. But please remember. I gotta remember my spiel. I don't have it written down. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, whatever platform you're listening on. As a reminder, we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. As a reminder, you can find us at Travolting Pod on Twitter or Instagram. Email us, travoltingpodcast@gmail.com. Pop into our Reddit, r/Travolting. You would be the first. Find me on Twitter at Jeff W. Sweeney.
Find me on Instagram at Stuart185. Don, you have anything you want to plug?
I do not.
Copy that.
So thanks, as always, to Michael Van Bodegum Smith for our theme music and Rebecca Johnson for our graphic design.
And Nicole for our social media.
Yes.
Bye.